As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports. So with Jeff, Booner, and Lucas, it is Tuesday, April 22nd, and we are 2 days away from the NFL draft. Hey guys, it's here. I mean, we're 2 days away.
Made it.
The Pistons just beat the Knicks to tie the series up 1-1 in Madison Square Garden. They come back home on Thursday. So it's not just 2 days away from the draft. We're 2 days away from going up 2-1 against the New York Knicks. Come on. That's what's going on this week. And a lot of content planned for this week, boys. I mean, for the people that are watching, if you don't fully understand what's going on this week, the schedule-wise, there's a lot. There's a lot of content.
A lot.
I mean, we have our show tonight. We have our show tomorrow. We have our draft show Thursday. And then we have morning shows. We have live watch parties for the draft. We have recap shows the next morning. I mean, there's just a lot going on, which we'll put out a schedule. But turn the notification bell on. That's probably the best answer to everything. Turn the notification bell on, and then when we're live on YouTube or we post, you get the notification.
We might be live 24 hours straight at some point. I'm convinced. Like we're gonna figure this out. It's gonna be a big week. I'm pumped up.
Mm-hmm. I'm scheduled to work Friday, boys, and I told my boss, like, hey, I'm gonna try to make it in. No guarantees, because Thursday night we're gonna have a good time. Friday we got to get content, because Friday I think is probably the most important day of the draft in my opinion, especially for the Lions and how Brad Holmes breaks it down in the draft. Like he goes and gets guys in the first round, no doubt. If you look at that second, third round, like look at the guys that he's produced in those two rounds. Friday, I'm almost excited more for Friday than on Thursday.
If I'm being honest, I don't need Klotz. I think it's all 3 days for this man, Brad Holmes. He has found
you're right. No, you're
diamonds in the first every year. Second day, the man finds guys, Kirby's, and third days he finds the Amon-Ra, or maybe that's second day too as well. But you guys know what I'm saying. Like day 3, he finds it. I'm pumped up for the whole thing. I think Thursday, honestly, starting Thursday morning, I think we're doing a show. We have a show scheduled. I think maybe what was it? Do we put 10 a.m. and then from 10 a.m. until probably around noon on Sunday, it is all Lions draft. NFL draft, lots of NFL draft. There will be some Pistons in there, but outside of that, like we are dialed in. I'm a little. I text Jeff this actually today. We were talking about the draft. He said I'm a little nervous because you never know what Brad's gonna do, and as you get closer, like there are nerves that start setting in. Like, hey, like is he gonna do what he did a couple years ago and grab a linebacker in the first round with the running back? Like, or is he gonna go edge? Like the edge to the D. It popped in my head again today, boys. Like, I want edge to the D. I want it bad. I want it real bad.
Can't blame you.
That's the right mentality. That's the right mentality, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We have our final Detroit Lions mocks. We're gonna do later. These are what how we set it up. And I already came out with my last one. It was posted on Monday, so you can go and check that out tomorrow or whatever, or rewatch ours and just get maybe some players in mind, because these are players we honestly believe will be in play for the Lions. These aren't, as we get closer, we're not getting away from kind of, I like this player or I like this player. We set up our mocks in a way where we believe it's going to happen. So that's how today's mocks are for the fellas, is what we actually believe the Lions will do. Players they like, they've met with, so on and so forth. And John Maakaron will be joining the show today. The doc joining a day early, because tomorrow is just going to be a hectic show. A lot of stuff going on there. Most wanted list, full first round mocks for the boys. So a lot of stuff going on.
I'm excited. I'm very interested to see what your guys' most wanted list is. Because I don't think, unless, so help me God, one of you guys put a wide receiver or a corner in there, I don't think there could be a bad most wanted list, but I'm interested to see the order and who you have there. Please no.
And for those who don't know, last year, Taron Arnold on that most wanted list for Klotzy, I believe. I don't know about me and Boone. It might have been on all of ours. But basically, corner was a need. So look for these most wanted lists, because you never know. Ryan says, give me Sean Dolak.
I was about to say, fifth overall, though, I might have to throw Sean Dolak in there just out of the love of the game for it.
Yeah, if you threw Sean Dolak in there, I'll walk off the show.
Are we doing it so just so I can 'Cause
First
I
round,
already
I
have
think.
just first round guys. Okay.
Yeah, and what we did last year too, and I think one of the biggest things of it, because we could do like Abdul Carter, Jalen Walker,
Realistic options.
realistic options for the Detroit Lions. I would say, like, in last year we did it. We had guys to where, hey, if they traded up, obviously they're not going to probably trade into the top 5. If they did, go Brad. But
Go Brad.
go Brad
Yeah,
at
let
that
him
point.
cook.
But if he doesn't do that, it's a realistic trade-up scenarios, realistic if you're at 28. And if you want to, I mean, there's 5 different players you could do. You could even do realistic if they trade back and they have a conversation and, with the guy there. So I think there's a lot of options. I feel like ours are going to all be pretty similar because we've been on the same page. It feels like all off season.
Yeah, before we get into those mocks, I would be remiss if I didn't mention what happened last night. The Pistons beating the Knicks, boys, and tying the series up 1-1, stealing a road game is the best outcome. All right. They could be up 2-0. Stop playing with them. All right. They threw the 21-0 lead in game 1 in the fourth quarter. They lost that game. Yesterday, you had Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr., wait for it, combined 1 for 14 from 3. 1 for 14 from 3 between 2 guys that you depend on to hit threes. And if you want to go into the entire Pistons team, they were 6 of 27. They shot 22.2% from 3. And what was the biggest point I mentioned, and you guys, we all agreed with, role players, if they play like that in game 1, you got to win it because those guys typically play better at home. So you won a game shooting 22.2% from 3. Oh, yeah, it's because Cade Cunningham got double-digit free throws for the first time in his career. Joking. But it's crazy. I mean, he shot 10 of 12 from the free throw line, had 12 attempts from the free throw line. He was getting calls that he typically doesn't get, ended with 33 points and 12 boards. He was the reason. He was the difference. So the game was incredible. The fact that you won that game and you struggled from 3, you couldn't hit the side of a barn if you tried, was impressive. And it speaks to really the Knicks in what they're doing and what their rotations look like because Tom Thibodeau, you better figure this thing out here, Tom. Because the player we talked about, fellas, that was a spark off the bench, scored, I think, 10 in the fourth quarter, Cameron Payne, played all but a whopping 4 minutes. Played all of a whopping 4 minutes. So that's Tom Thibodeau's biggest weakness there is playing the starters too much. And it worked out for the Pistons, man. It was awesome. They ran out of gas late in the game, the Pistons.
Yeah.
Found a way to close. And Dennis Schroeder, splashed that 3 ball at the end. He's been in those moments.
Huge.
He's been in those moments, and I love it. So credit to the Pistons, man. That was a huge win. Massive.
I do think a big thing too, and I noticed it yesterday, and I felt like game 1, you couldn't really. You got a little bit of a feeling of it, but you couldn't really confirm it because of the runs that were happening. The Pistons went on a run, Knicks did. Pistons take over in the 3rd, Knicks take over in the 4th. Yesterday confirmed it for me, boys, last night. This Pistons team's just that much better, in my opinion, than the Knicks. The fact that the Pistons should have won game 1, and the only reason, in my opinion, like they were going up against a veteran playoff team with the New York Knicks. It wasn't like it was this is a team that's just in the playoffs for the first time. Jalen Brunson's never. No, this is a team that's gone. Didn't they not go to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years ago, or they were a game away from it? So like they're very experienced in this situation, and the Pistons still almost beat them in game 1. And then you turn this thing around, and in game 2, there was not one moment in that game where, I mean, maybe when it was tied towards the end, but to where I was like, oh, there's no way the Pistons win this game. Like they dominated from start to finish, and they did not look back this time. So I think the next 2 games at home, Thursday night during the draft, and then Sunday at 1, I wouldn't be shocked if the Pistons go back to New York up 3-1 with a chance to close the series. I would not. I wouldn't.
And the Knicks, they're going to have something to say about it, but I think it almost works out for the Pistons because, like you pointed out, Hardaway and Schroeder, you didn't have Isaiah Stewart there. And then Asar Thompson fouled out. But before that, offensively, and again, Asar's not somebody you expect to go out there and just put up numbers offensively, but he only had like 4 or 5 points. And then Paul Reed, like that first half, he was terrible. Second half came alive. But you look at a lot of the Pistons players who kind of underwhelm. They usually don't consistently play like that. They usually bounce back. I bet at LCA, Malik Beasley's going to come out shooting the lights out. So I think it's going to be a great game 3. I think it's not going to be a blowout by any means for either side. But I do think, Booner, to your point, like next 5 games, the Pistons do have the advantage at home. That's going to be huge. And I think the Pistons did exactly what they needed to do. They could be up 2-0 right now, but at the end of the day, coming back to Detroit 1-1, I think they're in a great spot. Shout out to, you pointed
home
out
court.
Boone, defensively. In that second half, Cat was shut out. JB Bickerstaff, you saw you pointed out, like when they were matched up on Cat and Tobias, it was an absolute just weakness for defensively for the Pistons. They adjust that. Paul Reed, they bring him in. They didn't allow Cat to touch the ball and actually put up. He was scoreless. And then defensively, they killed him rebounding wise.
You need to relax on that take, bud. You have no facts to back it up. Where are the facts?
Boone, I thought you made a great statement. I agreed with you. Again, you were much more passionate in believing it. I was letting you cook.
I love Tobias too.
I thought you were right.
I've done a whole 180 on Tobias Harris. I think offensively yesterday, Tobias was great. I went back and watched today too. And Tobias, when he was on Jalen Brunson was shook. Like a long forward on him. And typically you're like, Jalen Brunson's quicker. The amount of times OG and Jalen Brunson dribbled the ball out of bounds when Tobias was on him was ridiculous. Like watching it back, you're like, does he affect that much? But when he was on Cat, there was a problem. When I watched it today, like even the announcers, Greg Kessler. Which one is it?
It's Kessler.
Kessler. He was just like, he's too big for him. Hey, the matchup's a little too much. So yeah, I think they'll figure something out. You make adjustments in going into game 3. Isaiah Stewart's back. You don't have to really worry as much about like these tougher matchups. You have Stu in there. If you need to go kind of bigger, because that's what they were doing with Stu out. I don't know if you boys noticed that. I don't really remember what they did game 1. They were definitely going a little bit bigger because Stu was out. They had Mitchell Robinson and Cat out there at the same time, which I'm sure they do, but you could counter with Stu in there if you want to.
I think they do have to figure out something about Bridges, because they, like, again, late in the game, they're going to go iso ball with Brunson. But when you have Bridges, like there was multiple times where he's just wide open, even under the basket, or whether it was for a 3-pointer, like they have to do something about that, because again, he's been in the finals before. He stepped up in big moments and he almost cooked you to where you couldn't do anything about it in game 2.
Well, it's tough. JB's in a tough spot because if you play Isaiah and Duren together, you lose spacing. But you gain him defensively. But then if you put Tobias in there, it's better spacing, but then you have to have Tobias guard Karl Anthony Towns so it's like,
I did the math too. I looked at it too.
You do, damned if you don't. You know what I mean? It's like you just gotta hope Tobias like holds his own at times. Like it's kind of what you just have to hope for. It's a tough position to be in. I don't want to hear Tibbs, by the way, complain. That is brutal. Free throw differential, because this is what I've noticed, boys. We all watched the same game. The Knicks were jacking up 3-point shots. So the Pistons are going to the rim. Typically, when fouls are called, you're going to the rim.
Yeah.
Unless you're Jalen Brunson. And this is a whole other thing I'm frustrated by, is this new NBA thing, which I know it's been happening. And I know I'm late to the party. It's been a thing. But we got to do something about these threes, man. Like getting foul calls on three. The 4-point play thing, opportunities. Because Jalen Brunson, if you're stepping back to shoot a 3 and you pump fake, the defender jumps and he lands on you as you're shooting. That's one thing, right? Like, okay, I get it. Shoot your free throw. I understand.
A cylinder.
But if you have an offensive player seeking contact, I don't think that should be a foul. I think that's the biggest. It's one of the bigger frustrations, I think, with NBA fans and honestly sports fans in general. When someone doesn't watch the NBA and they tune into the NBA and watch that, they're like, this game sucks. Peyton Pritchard did it for the Celtics. It's not just
a lot of people do. I think I've had this take probably since I was maybe like a junior or sophomore in college. And I think the rule, I don't know if you remember, Jeff, there was a cylinder rule that came into play. I think it was my second year at Saginaw. And then it got implemented to not just like it was high school, college, it was everything. It was like, hey, the offensive player has a cylinder around him. And if you go inside that cylinder, it's an automatic defensive foul because there was so much hand grabbing and all of that. And they were trying to make the game softer, essentially. That's all it was. They wanted to make a soft game. But when they did that, the only problem, and I think they still haven't fixed it, is if an offensive player has a cylinder, there should be a cylinder defensively as well. And it should go both ways. And if you want to let it go back and forth, then, hey, you're allowed to go in each other's cylinders. No diddy. Like, you should be able to. All right, if that's the way the ref wants to call it, that's fair. But if you're going to call offensively, hey, he's in his cylinder. If the offensive player is going to pump fake and he's going to go into the defender cylinder, it should be an automatic offensive foul. It's not a charge, but it should be an offensive foul or just a no call. One of the two.
people in the chat, like I think people are misunderstanding what I'm saying because Jimmo says, "Sorry, Jeff, don't go for the fake." I'm not talking. And me and you agree, Boone. No one's referring to.
If you go into him if you get faked out,
yes,
and you go into the offensive player, that should be a foul every time.
Yes,
and it's the same thing for your offense and their offense. What Jeff is saying is, if you're a defender and you play great defense, hand up. You don't do anything wrong. You don't fall for the fake. You have great defense. And the offensive player, instead of just going straight up and shooting the rock, he goes into you and draws the foul to where there is nothing you can do. You're
punishing a player for contesting a shot. I mean, there's
a lot of people who do it. It's the same. Like James Harden used to do it all the time. There's someone. Trey Young does it all the time. Like a lot of players do it.
Tobias he probably left his feet. Like he barely left his feet. He just had his hand up, and Jalen Brunson went whoop right into Tobias, and they called the three. It's like, and I'm not saying I'm not saying hand, hitting your shooting arm or I'm talking about just hand up, fundamental.
And if you want to argue, hey, the hand up's a problem too, then guess what? There's going to be a million more threes in the NBA because an NBA player, if you don't have a hand up, they're going to knock a three down 7 times out of 10. Exactly. Every single time. I'll knock 7 out of 10 on you if you don't put your hand up.
Now, it's hard to explain, but go watch the Jalen Brunson draw. Go watch that foul. He drew that foul on Tobias Harris. Go watch that because I can't just. It's hard to describe. Just go watch it.
Yeah,
what we're talking about. It's the most bogus. That should be.
It's crazy. Yeah, it happens all the time in the NBA too, which is like
and it goes both ways. I mean, we were watching the game and there was a missed call on Mikal Bridges where we're all like, ooh, like that looked like that should have been he didn't make it, but if he did, 4-point play.
Tibbs making excuses. Tibbs making excuses. After that is it's insane.
He's like Cunningham got it every time he went to the rim. He got a foul.
He needs to worry about coaching his team to win, besides the refs.
Hey, Steve, appreciate the $5. Says they would have won by double digits if Brunson would have stopped flopping.
He drew. I think it was by the end of the game, just within himself, 9 fouls.
Yeah, that's I don't know. And it's when we're all NBA fans, guys, that's the thing that just frustrates me that's to me a big turnoff for the average NBA fan. Like if you're just like, hey, let's watch the playoffs. You're like, what the is this?
I will say this though.
Start pulling tax on flops.
The NBA playoffs has been very good the last couple days.
Yeah, I think the Clippers Nuggets game.
Yeah, I think they have the highest ratings that they've had in like 20 years, which is since probably like Kobe, since those years probably.
Yeah,
it's like 2010.
Because I think it's no more. I think the West is still the better team, but especially after the Celtics win it, like it used to be like, hey, you're throwing the winner of the West, and they're going to probably go 4-5 with the winner of the East. I think it's much more balanced now.
Yeah,
like I think definitely the West when you go 1-8 is tougher than the East 1-8, but I don't think it's so far off where the one out of the West is not. Like it, I think they're pretty balanced. One out of the West, one out of the East.
And then Tatum went down with a wrist injury. So
he's day to day. I saw
the clip of Mazzulla saying, "Get up." He was actually hurt. The one time that Mazzulla was like, "Get up! No, don't go out there." The training staff is like, "Wait, get up." He was actually hurt.
Who do you guys think's coming out of the East? If you had to make a prediction right now,
dude, I would say the Celtics.
Man,
I'd probably go. I think that's more open as the West. Like I know the Lakers lost game 1. I still the Lakers can still win it. I think the Nuggets can win it. The Thunder, the Warriors can win it. Like I think anyone in the West. I think that's the most wide open that we've ever seen it. I think there's like 4 teams who can legit go win it. The Celtics, it's like really just. Like we can say the Pistons, but it's really like the Celtics and the Cavs. But I think the Celtics just get it done.
Yeah,
I just didn't know if you guys thought the Cavs really.
Joe Mazzulla, by the way.
No, go on.
I would say when that clip went out, a lot of people were hating on him. He might be the best coach in the NBA. I think Joe Mazzulla is the number one. Like if you did a coaching power rankings, Joe Mazzulla is number one. I don't know if you guys have seen his interviews with like Part of My Take, and this guy,
he's a maniac.
Dude, he's like. Dialed like they ask him questions, he's like, I'm not like he just like hates like, but he's a good dude, but he's just like
they got
he's like I watch the same movie over and over and over. He watches The Accountant like every single day. That's like the start of his day is like
he's like a serial killer that instead of killing people decided to be a basketball coach
and be a lead at it. It's crazy, dude.
He's I mean the Pistons are in that next bucket. It's basically to me the Celtics, Cavs, and then Pacers are probably the top of the
Yeah.
other one, but the Pistons are
Yeah.
right there in that mix. You know, never know. Beat the Knicks, make a statement, and we'll see what happens. Play with house money there. But let's get to our Detroit Lions mock drafts. All right, these are our 8.0s, our final mock.
Want to say this to the people. Two things real quick, Jeff.
Go on.
One, I know a lot of people probably want to hear about the Jameson Williams news. We're doing that after the doc today. Big news. I feel like we wanted to get some time. At least me, I want to talk about it, boys. I don't know.
Yeah,
so
let's do it.
People,
yeah, we'll talk to the doc about it, and then we'll talk about it on our own.
Yeah, I say at like 9:40. We at 9:40. If you're here to listen
Healthy
to that,
combo.
because that's I feel like might be the biggest topic of draft week. Typically, you're trying to find like what's going on. I think it's turned to like unintentionally, it's turned into what's going on with Jameson Williams. Whether you think he's getting moved or not, that's like the big news in Lions world, which is it's crazy. The whole
crazy. That's even. And then here come the internet sleuths.
Dude,
Lions.
unfollow the Lions, and then people are like, "Well, he never followed them in the first
doesn't
place." And then I had people on my tweet because I just listen. Albert Breer put the news out, right, and he put it in an article saying, "Hey, this is what I'm hearing." That I put the thing out like, "Hey, this is reports." People in my comments are like, Booner wants J-Mo gone. Where do we come?
And I had J-Mo, like J-Mo diehards are a cult. It's almost the same thing with people who like hate J-Mo. He has like 1,000 times more slappies.
And I love J-Mo. Like, I feel like his mom like follows us and retweets our stuff and comments and messages, like everything. Like, very good person, good family. So it's like that's not. I had to put in the comments like, listen, I want J-Mo in Detroit, just to make it very clear.
You're just the messenger.
Yeah, that's all you are. Jeez.
We'll talk about that later. That'll be interesting. But let's get to our mocks. I'll go first. I'll share what I did. I did no trades. Again, the boys did trades. It doesn't matter. That's just what I did. Trades. I actually like that you boys did do trades because it's more realistic. But I thought I'd be the different one. I'll just do no trades. Just straight up where they select.
By the way, these are locked in. These are our final locked in for the draft. Yep. So we'll see how accurate or who we all have.
Yeah, yep. Look at the players. Remember the players. We'll see how this ages. All right. We get to mine first. I got to get to the chime. Hold on. I want to hear the chime.
Beautiful.
I just love that chime, dude.
You're going to hear at least 20 of those before Shedeur Sanders goes off the board. But continue.
Get off the screen.
Probably 32.
All right, let's do it. Let's get to my mock. Get out of my way. Let me tell you about what I did, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm very proud of what I did. And if you watched the video, thank you. Appreciate it. Got a lot of love on that. There's a couple people that didn't like them. That's fine. Some of the picks. Leave your thoughts in the comments right now. What you think of these? All right. I stayed put at all these selections. And what I tried to do is pick players that have a relationship of some sort with the Lions. They've met with them at the combine, or they've had virtual meetings, or they've spoken to, or they went to their pro days. Now, there are some picks in here, notably 2, that the Lions did not meet with at all. So these are just 2 guys that I think fit the Lions and what they want. I tried to get a different safety, but just didn't work out that way. But let's keep it pushing. All right. At 28, I stayed put. I took Gray Zabel. All right. And this isn't surprising to many, but Gray Zabel, the versatile guard, center, play a little tackle, but mainly center guard in the NFL, and someone that I think fits perfectly with this offensive line. I do. I think his versatility is something they love. And you already have Graham. He's on the back end of his career, or at least he's not getting any better. I don't want to say he's old, but he's not getting any better. And you have Gray Zabel, who can play that role. He can play guard. He can play center. He's younger, on a rookie deal, and has a higher upside. I really like Gray Zabel. Just athletic freak who I think when he played better competition, he played better. So that's the pick I went from at 28. I think a lot of Lions fans will be happy with that, because at 60 and 102, I decided to go on the other side of the ball. At 60, I took Josiah Stewart, the defensive end out of Michigan, connected to the Lions. The Lions met with him multiple times. They really like him. I know the size is probably the only thing you can point out, but as a player, there's not really much to pick apart. I mean, he can defend the run. He can get after the quarterback. You can play him on some of those NASCAR packages we talk about, where you get these smaller, quicker guys. He's very strong, although he's not, again, the tallest player. He's still productive, and he still gets the job done. He's got a lot of heart, does a lot of dirty work, and the Lions like that. And it's something about Michigan defensive players as of late, man. They're just getting out talent, and Josiah Stewart's one of those talented players. At 102, I went with Savion Jones. Remember the name. I've had him in a prior mock, and I've fallen more and more in love with Savion Jones. Shout out to Malik in the chat. He likes Savion too. He also likes Braden Swinson, who I really like. He's more of a one-year wonder. The Lions haven't met with him, but he had a really good year at LSU. He plays on the other side of Savion Jones, but Savion Jones has been at LSU. He's been pretty consistent at LSU, and the body type is what I look for because it's what the Lions look for in defensive ends. 6'6", 290, 280. Defend the run, get after the quarterback. It's what he does. And I like his size. I know the Lions do as well. I think they'll be really interested in him. Pat Bryant, don't need to speak much on Pat. You guys know we're a pro Pat Bryant show. It's probably a receiver that's been in the most mocks. I had Jalen Royals and Pat Bryant. I think that's the only two receivers I've really had in these mocks. And Pat Bryant, love him. Big, go get it off the top shelf kind of guy. All right. Contested catch, run blocker, exactly what the Lions are looking for. So Pat Bryant, remember the name. 196, Jordan Hancock, safety out of Ohio State. Klotz, he knows a lot about Hancock. He could play that slot role, play deep safety, versatile. He's a ball player. And I think someone that can come in right away. You know, if Amik goes down, he can play some nickel for you. And if something else happens, he could play deep safety for you. Doesn't matter. And then Ty Robinson at 228, you guys know it's just solid pick always. He's kind of the commish replacement here. Very, very good player. And then Smail Mondon Jr. The special teamer / future Hall of Famer. Kelvin Shepard will develop. No, I'm kidding. But very, very solid late round pick. I love Smail Mondon. But here's my mock draft, fellas. Final mock. What do you think?
I like it, Hefe. I think it's very realistic. Throw back up. Yeah. I think it's very realistic, and I think the pick that I love the most is probably Pat Bryant, especially for where you get him at 130. Like, it's not saying I don't like Gray Zabel, Josiah Stewart, Savion, but I think where you get Pat Bryant at 130, that's a pick where the Lions, after that, and I know it's different regimes, but after probably I'd say Marvin Jones, and I'm talking about when Marvin Jones was originally with Detroit, they have not had a true X wide receiver. Like, they have Tim Patrick now, who's very good. Do not get me wrong, but obviously he's on the later part of his career. If you have a guy who's pretty much copy and paste what Tim Patrick is, I think Pat Bryant could definitely be somebody that you're not asking to give 1,000 yards, but at that wide receiver 3, potentially could be 2, is a very solid option because you look at what he can do. He's going to block his ass off and very few drops. And then when you look at his route running, he's not the best route runner. He's not Matthew Golden, but he can do it all. Like, he can go through all 3 levels, and after the catch, he can be very good at breaking tackles. So I think it's copy and paste Tim Patrick, and I love Tim Patrick. So if you get Pat Bryant at 130, that's the answer to this draft as far as wide receiver. I don't think you try to replace J-Mo in this draft. You try to replace Tim Patrick, and that's what you do. Pat Bryant at 130.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Klotzy.
Very well said with Pat Bryant, Klotz. I like the Gray Zabel, Jeff. Like, I've fallen to where if Gray Zabel goes at 28, falls to the Lions, I'm all in on that. And then I do believe, and maybe I'm far off on this, but I do believe if Gray Zabel comes in, he's competing for a starting job day one in OTAs and training camp. And then the Josiah Stewart Savion thing, just 2 edges where, a little bit flexible, I think, with Josiah, to where he can't play the Sam. You can do a lot with him. I love that. I do. And they've met with him a lot. You guys will see in my mock draft, potentially a little teaser. Love Josiah Stewart. Jordan Hancock, I like their other safety better, but if you get Jordan Hancock at 196, Lathan Ransom probably is going in the top 100. So you're probably not going to be able to snag him. And then you guys already know how I feel about Ty Robinson, so I'm all in on Ty. That's my sleeper right there.
Yeah, you've been you informed us about Ty Robinson, Boone.
That I call him well, I said Thor, but I know we already have a Thor, so I have to come up with like Captain America or something. I don't know. The man is just a
Captain America. I'll take that.
Bro. And he had like 7.5 sacks. Like, the dude is not like he's just like, hey, he gives you 2 sacks with some
stops the
He's got
run,
some juice, man. He's got
sacks.
Some juice.
He does it all, and he just plays with a lot of energy. And I believe they met with him at the combine as well. It could be wrong, actually.
I have it pulled up right here for you.
I don't know if they did. I think it was just at the combine when we were there. He just performed so well. If you were
after he ran like a 4.7 or something like that.
You just can't turn your head away from him. I don't think they did meet with him, but if I had to guess, Ty Robinson would be on Brad Holmes' board. If he's not, like, if they pass on Ty, keep passing on him, and then Ty ends up being like an 8-sack guy in the NFL and an elite defensive tackle that gets after the quarterback, I'd be a little disappointed.
So who wants to go next?
I'll go.
All right.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see what people react to, because I don't think this is not a mock draft where like I think this is the best case scenario, but I think this is a very realistic.
He's already crapping on his own mock.
With this.
Yeah, what? You can't do that from the start.
Well, no, because I think, and I'll explain as I go on, but right here, I think when we look at this draft, Brian Pohl spoke on it earlier today. There's going to be a lot of GMs making moves to go and get their guy, because right now, we talked about it. You could be sitting at a situation in 28 where, let's say, Gray Zabel's off the board. A lot of these DNs are off the board. You're looking at Nick Scorton, Luther Burden. No, you go up and get your guy, and you go and get Kenneth Grant. And they met with him at the combine. And I think when you look at Kenneth Grant, fellas, I like Mason Graham. Trust me, I think he's going to be a very good player. I think there's a very realistic shot when you look back in 5 to 10 years, Kenneth Grant is the best defensive lineman in this draft, period. Because you look at what he brings: size, check; athleticism, check; can stop the run, check. But he's a little raw. And I think Brad Holmes, he loves that. With DJ Reader on the out soon, Ali McNeil not coming back week 1, week 2, week 3, you don't know when he's coming back. When he comes back, he's not going to be 100%. You bring Kenneth Grant in, he's going to make an impact day 1, and you move up with Denver Broncos, because I think when you look at the Steelers right now, there's mocks where it's like, hey, they could go Shadur Sanders, but if you look, they love Kenneth Grant. And I think when you trade with the Broncos, Sean Payton, Dan Campbell, there's a connection there. They're probably going to want a skill player at 28, so they can go ahead and get that. Moving to the second round, you're sitting at 60. Players falling. He calls up the Jets, and he gets Donovan Jackson. I think Donovan Jackson is somebody that, like you said, Boone, what do we want, especially in this offensive line room? Competition. Donovan Jackson can bring somebody that brings competition right away, but he's also somebody that can start as well. When you look at how the Ohio State Buckeyes won that national championship, it was because Donovan Jackson was able to step up when they lost their center and Josh Simmons. He can bring tackle versatility, but you put him in day 1 in the NFL as a guard, he can start for you. I think Graham Glasgow, there's a very realistic shot that you put him in there, he goes back to that depth piece, and Donovan Jackson is another guard for you for the next 5 years. So you get 2 day 1 starters you move up for. There's no edge rusher taken yet, but you move up again and you get Oladejo. And I think Oladejo is somebody that Kelvin Shepherd is just going to love. And the reason why I said, hey, this isn't a draft that I love, but I think it's very realistic, is you go Oladejo here because it's like, we need an edge rusher. I think Brad Holmes is going to wait, and I think they're trying to bring back Zadarius Smith. To your point, Boone, I do think it's very realistic. As the days go on, I'm being swayed the other way, honestly. I think Zadarius comes back, so now you're looking at a shot where you have Oladejo off the edge, but you have Marcus Davenport, AQM, Zadarius Smith, Aiden Hutchinson. That's very good to go in the third round and take Oladejo. I think it's good value there, especially for the future, because what he could be with Kelvin Shepherd and how he develops linebackers. I think it's perfect for what the Lions need with versatility at that edge spot. It's an athlete on the edge. And then my guy, boys, Isaac Tesla. We're getting him. I'm telling you, Isaac Tesla, he's not going to be a round 5 guy, round 6 guy. He's going to go in the first 4 rounds because of what he translates to. Start at Hillsdale College, goes SEC. Stats aren't staggering, but when you look at, he's a 6'4" slot receiver. Okay, 6'4". He moves like a slot receiver, lit up the combine. He's a fluid route runner. He's aggressive. He blocks his ass off. This is somebody that you add 10 pounds on, 15 pounds to. You move him to the outside. You let Amon-Ra on the inside. You have J-Mo, and then you find his replacement. But this is another Tim Patrick replacement. Maybe not day 1 because he's going to be in the slot, but you let him just kind of grow on the outside because there's going to be some development. But Isaac Tesla has all the traits of an NFL wide receiver. I love what he can bring. Local guidelines have shown a lot of interest in him. But I do think that Isaac Tesla becomes a Detroit Lion at 130. You took Pat Bryant, Hefe. He wasn't available for me, so I took Isaac Tesla. I would prefer Pat Bryant, but Isaac Tesla was sitting there. He's not going to be available at 228, so we took the best player available. And then sitting at 228, boys, I don't know why we haven't been talking about Jalen Reed more. Jalen Reed is the perfect safety for what this Detroit Lions defense needs, because he's going to fall a little bit because coverage-wise, he could improve. But when you look at what he can do coverage-wise, he can go hash his sideline. He's very, very athletic. Who else does that? Kirby Joseph. But where Jalen Reed is the strength at is in the box at a safety. He's a tackling machine. He lights people up at the line of scrimmage, creates tackle for losses, can get to the quarterback, and is able to tackle tight ends, wide receivers, you name it. Jalen Reed is an aggressive guy from Detroit. The Lions have met with him. but he brings that versatility. If he can play in the box and you let him develop behind Kirby Joseph, he can turn into a true ball hawk. So I think Jalen Reed at 228, he's not going to be sitting there at 228, but in the board, he was sitting there. Lions could take him earlier, but I think Jalen Reed, if somehow he fell to 228, that's a home run hit for the safety room right now, especially with how it sits in the depth-wise. And then pick 244. I normally take Dolak here, boys. But I was sitting, I was like, I have to take another edge. You can't walk out of this draft with Femi Oladejo as the only edge. A lot of upside with Colin Oliver at Oklahoma State. He had 5 sacks, 7 sacks in his first 2 years, and then he got hurt 2 games in, had 2 sacks, though. Does that not sound like a Brad Holmes player? They've met with him before when it comes to visit, so I think there is some interest there. This is you're taking a home run hit. You're trying to swing for the fences here. You're taking a risk, a lot of upside, but at 244, Colin Oliver, you add some depth to the edge room potentially. Don't know what he's going to turn out to be, but you know there's a high floor. Look, fellas, I understand. Edge rushers, you want to see more of them here, but like I said, you're trying to bring back Zadarius Smith. You bring me Kenneth Grant and Donovan Jackson in the first 2 rounds. I am smiling. I'm saying, Brad, you cooked. You got this offense right. You got this defense right, because Kenneth Grant's going to impact the pass rush as well. I would love this draft. Again, I don't think it's my best draft, but when you talk about who the Lions have met with, what this draft brings to the table, I loved it.
Hey, Kenneth Grant and Donovan Jackson.
I think those are 2 good players, man.
Yeah,
they're 2 really good players.
Those are 2 very good players. I think you already kind of hit on what you think the Lions would do if they had this draft. So, I mean, you have 3 picks in the top 100, and I think they used them pretty well. I mean,
can I ask a question? And this is for you, Klotz, and the people.
Yeah.
I think this is just like a mindset thing to where, like, even if you bring Zadarius back, and I've been probably one of the most vocal people saying I think they re-sign him and they do bring him back. In my mind, things are trending towards that way. I do still think, though, like in the first 2 rounds, I think like from like 15 to like 35, 40, you can still get one of those high-end edge rushers. I know you get into a spot to where it's like, hey, who's going to play? Who's going to get the snaps? But for me, it's just more so for the future, like looking forward, like, hey, Zadarius isn't always going to be there. And if you're trying to build a team, like you're going to get stuck in another spot to where it's like, hey, we need to get an edge again next year or next year. And it's like, you're in that cycle to where I do think there are some guys, again, this is one of the deeper edge classes. And I think like high end wise, like I think you can get a really good edge in the first round or early second, to where I would probably still lean towards that, like an edge to the D. And I don't know, again, then you start getting to the spot, hey, who gets the snaps? Does Zadarius still sign if you bring in a big-time player? I don't know, but that's just my biggest worry with it. It's like, hey, making sure that you still, whether you get Oladejo and you get what did you do, Jeff? You got Oladejo and Josiah?
No, I got
Jones.
Savion
Jones. Yeah, or whether you do that. But I think you still, like, if you end up not taking a first-round guy, I just think, like, the safe way, I hear a lot of people saying it right now, it's like, take a couple edges. Like, one has to hit. Like, one has to. And I know that's such a weird argument, but
I'm 100% with you. When I looked at this draft, I was like, I like it, but it would be perfect if Josiah Stewart was in it. Like if I somehow could move up for Josiah Stewart. And I think that's what made it perfect. But again, I like that draft. I love it, but it could get better.
All right, Boone, talk to me here.
I think I'll say this: the thing out of the first 2 boys is like I could see those picks all happening. Like that's where I love these drafts.
Hold on. I see all 3. With Boone's mock, I see all of these picks happening. Come on, Boone.
I think I could be crazy, boys. I think this might happen. I think this might be the draft. I see Michael.
I like the names on here.
I see Michael. Listen, boys, and I
228. I see what you're doing at 228 too.
Yeah.
I changed a couple things around this week, and typically we went through the last few months, boys, and it was really just more so like get a feel for these mock draft Mondays, and hey, what do we want the Lions to do? And then there was some weeks where it was like, what are the Lions gonna do? And this week, after all the months, kind of the weeks put together, I said, I think I got it, boys. I know what Brad Holmes is, what's going through Brad Holmes' mind. And I know the guys he likes. And the one thing that I decided to do on this mock draft, boys, is as I'm putting my mind inside of Brad Holmes' mind, and I want to see what his board looks like. And to me, this is the board that looks that Brad Holmes is going to be looking at this week. Number 20 overall, boys, I traded up from 28. I don't think you're going to have to give up a million picks to go up to 28, maybe a second next year. Maybe one of those third comp picks to get up a couple picks. And I traded with the Broncos, and you get Michael Walker.
What happened? Oh, we got Jamie messed up on this one. Jamie messed up on
I read it, and I went, Michael Williams at number 20. That is Michael Williams, not Michael Walker. I don't know who Michael Walker is.
I don't think that's a human.
Yeah, but I'll take Michael Williams, please, to the Detroit Lions. Guys, I think about this with Michael. And you two boys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think there's a side, and typically, and I did it before, Mike Green to the Lions, trading up for Mike Green and being like, 16.5 sack guy, production, he's going to be a top 15 guy. I'm starting to think that there is a world with the stuff off the field to where Brad is typically going to say, all right, let's take a step back. And I know I made the argument saying, well, there's a reason they met with them, and there's a reason that they wanted to go about that process is to see what was really going on. I think the safe pick is a Michael Williams, boys. Like, if you're looking at the 20th spot, and you're like, hey, who can fall to 20? This is a guy who could potentially be the best edge rusher in this class. Yes, over Abdul Carter. Like, it could potentially happen. He has the ceiling to do so. I was clipping film today of Mike Cowboys for our draft show, and just watching him, he is just pure power. He has the upside. Versus Texas, boys, I don't know if you guys saw this, but versus Kelvin Banks there, I'll tell you what, boys, dominated. Every single possession, Michael Williams was in the backfield giving Quinn Ewers a problem. Every single possession. I think he would be a perfect fit across from Aiden Hutchinson. And now if I had to guess, if you looked at Brad Holmes' edge board, I would guess Michael is at the very top, if not second or third, for realistic options for the Detroit Lions. And then obviously I just stayed at 60. I didn't have to give that up to get to 20. And I went Josiah Stewart. I was between Oladejo out of UCLA and Josiah Stewart. And what I'll say about this, boys, and the people in the chat, maybe there's these conversations. Well, Booner didn't get an offensive lineman in the first few rounds. I originally did this mock draft, and Jeff, you can contest to this. My original mock draft, I had Gray Zabel at 28, and I didn't get Michael. And I thought, I've been the edge to the D guy this whole time. I got to switch this thing up. So I kept Josiah. I originally had Gray Zabel, Josiah Stewart, and Oladejo all in the first 80 picks going to the Detroit Lions. I made a couple moves, and I had all three. I ended up switching it. I took away Oladejo, and I said, give me Michael Williams to trade up, and I took away Gray Zabel as well, which I would not be shocked if that happened. But I think Josiah Stewart, boys, like if you bring Michael in, that's your pure edge rusher. That's your guy. Across from Aiden Hutchinson, 3-down back that can go in, or 3-down edge that can do anything you need him to do. Josiah Stewart's a guy that's going to be that hybrid, that James Houston. If you need a third down, if you need a NASCAR package, if Derek Barnes somehow gets hurt, you have a guy in Josiah Stewart. In my opinion, boys, he could start right away, Josiah. If he needed to, he could play right away in the NFL. Yeah. He is that good. So I like the Josiah Stewart pick at 60. 102, this is one we have not talked about a lot, boys, but there are rumors and there are reports that the Detroit Lions love Jonas Sanker out of Virginia, a safety. Jonas Jerebko. Give me Jonas Sanker. I'll say Jonas if he becomes a Detroit Lion for the rest of my life. And even if we meet him, I'll say, you remind me of Jonas Jerebko. Shout out the Pistons. But no, I like him a lot. I watched this film today, and I did a lot of looking into it, and they've met with him. The reports are that they love him. And then today when I was doing the mock draft, or it was actually yesterday when I was doing it, I watched some of his film. This is a guy, boys, when we're talking about getting that iffy replacement, he had over, I think, 2.5, 3 sacks last year. He had like 90-plus tackles, like 16 or 17 tackles for a loss. This guy gets in the backfield. He knows how to read a defense. He can stop the run. He can fill the lanes if you need him to. This guy does everything. And guess what? He could drop back if you need him to. So I think this is a perfect guy for this Detroit Lions defense who would be ready to go right away. He could play special teams like if he did, and that can be kind of your replacement to step in, and you can actually get production out of a guy, Jonas, or in my case, Jonas Sanker. 130, Boys, I think this is the most realistic. Jeff, when did you get Ty Robinson?
I think like 200, which is he's going to go higher.
I think, and I said it the other day, I think he goes in the top 150. So he was left on the board when I was doing this. I think I did it once, and then I went back and did it with the Michael. I just took him at 130. I'm going to be really realistic with this. I'm taking Ty Robinson at 130 because he's not going to fall past that. He won't be there at 145, 196, 228. You're not going to be able to get a Ty Robinson then. I think there's a chance when you're like, hey, we need a legit D lineman to come in, help out with DJ Reader if someone gets hurt, an Ali McNeil. Pecco's not there anymore. Pat O'Connor, saw him today in Allen Park. Roy Lopez, Pat O'Connor, again, Pat O'Connor. But to help in and step in, I think Ty Robinson's the perfect guy for that. 145, Pat Bryant. That's probably Klotz. I know you said Isaac Tesla. He wasn't, or Pat Bryant wasn't available then. If Pat Bryant's available between 130 and 145, you snag him. You pull the trigger so fast, especially over Isaac Tesla. And that's nothing at Isaac. I just think, yeah.
Let's lay low on the disrespect there, okay?
No,
I don't
listen,
like the tone of that.
I'm taking Pat Bryant 10 times out of 10 over Isaac Tesla. That's no, with all due respect. And then at 196, this is where I went the offensive lineman. I know a lot of people are like, Booner, you need a guard, you need a tackle, you need this. I know I took the Gray Zabel pick off, and I didn't replace it, but Jake Majors, center, I think he's going to be a future starting center in the NFL one day. You're looking at your Frank Ragnow replacement. I don't know. Maybe Jake can play some guard, boys. I don't know. I can ask him if he gets drafted there. We 100%.
Hey, you can love both, like your children.
And then at 228, boys, this is a name that we have not had once on any mock drafts. I don't even know if we've talked about it, maybe for like a half a segment. But Lan, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Maybe it's Lan Larison. Couldn't even tell you the school he's out of. But I'll tell you what about this kid. I'll be just quite frank. UC Davis he's from. I watched his film this morning, and this is a guy that the Lions brought in, and they've met with Lan Larison. He had over, I think it was around 18 or almost 1,900 yards in the college football season, maybe even more than that. It was like 700 running or receiving yards, like 1,300 rushing yards, 20 touchdowns. This kid is different. If you go watch him, and I know it's a small school, boys, he bounces off dudes. Klotz, I think you would love this guy. Every time he would go get tackled, you'd think, this guy's done. Boom. Takes off for 40 yards. And then the rumor is, and the doc's going to be on in a little bit, the rumor is the Detroit Lions love Lan Larison. So I just said, hey, they're at some point going to take a guy to go in that running back room with Craig Reynolds and Sione Vaki and those guys. This is the pick. If they met with him, they love him. The rumors are out there. Do not be shocked at the end of the draft, 7th round. Lan is just sitting on the board, and they go, give us the playmaker. We love playmakers in the building.
Davis.
Add another playmaker to this. And if you guys haven't watched his highlights, just go to YouTube, type in his name, and you will be amazed of the plays this kid makes.
I like it, Boone.
That's the draft, though, boys.
Can I be quite frank, Boone?
Yeah.
I think you had the best draft.
This is a great draft.
I think you did because I think where I was like, hey, I wish I had Josiah Stewart. You have Josiah Stewart. I like Kenneth Walker overall a little bit more than Kenneth Grant more than Michael Walker or Michael Williams.
Yeah,
it's close, but Michael Williams is right there behind him. And then you get Josiah. I think Jonas Sanker. I think Schiff God put it perfectly. Let me find it real quick. Search. I'm not going to find it, but he's cooking on a Jonas Sanker where it's like, hey, you bring him home. He's a perfect fill-in for Iffy. To your point, you get Ty Robinson, Pat Bryant. The only critique I would say is I'd like an offensive lineman sooner, but you still get Jake Majors at 196. I would say probably the best draft out of the three of us.
Hey,
appreciate that, Klotz.
I would walk away like happier than my draft with this one.
Hey, we're gonna be breaking down another mock because I want to ask Doc about his. Doc getting involved. Doc getting involved in the mock game. You know, he's got a different toes in the
They
water
can't see it right when we said that Doc. You could tell Doc's getting ready. He's always ready. The mic was in the right spot.
He's always ready. It's John Maakaron. He's joining us a day before his typical Wednesdays. We appreciate him rescheduling and joining on Tuesday. But he's here to talk about the NFL draft and get into his own. John Maakaron, which is on Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. It's live right now, and you can check it out. Welcome to the show, man, the myth, the legend, Mr. John Maakaron. John, how we doing today?
Oh, he wasn't ready. He wasn't
dude.
ready. Oh no, Doc.
Yay.
You hyped him up. You said he's ready every time to go, and then oh no.
Hey, Doc, you know what?
There we go, Doc.
There it is. There it is.
Yes.
There it is. Look, I'm
there
old
we
and
go.
I've gone through a million draft names. And with the gear, that's the best thing. Rookie mistake. Don't even turn on the microphone to talk. Why? It's Tuesday and I'm distracted. Shannon Sharp and his nonsense got me checking out the internet going, listen, first and foremost, we may not spend a lot of time on Shannon Sharp, but I just got to say to my guy, got to upgrade, man. If you're going to make $100 million podcasting, the ladies that I'm seeing online that you're affiliated with, they're not cutting it to the standard that most people would like. And I'm very disappointed in Mr. Shannon Sharp that this is going on again. Didn't learn from before. And this is crazy that he's still on the air. But here nor there, it's time to break down the Lions draft.
Yeah, Michelle. We'll get into it. Doc, hey, listen, I want to ask you because we're not going to go through it all because I want encourage people to go read the full mock draft, but I'll get into your first round pick and then you did a full mock, every round for the Lions, every pick, which again, Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. It's all online. So you go follow the Doc at Detroit Podcast. You can check it out. He posted it there as well. But Doc, talk to you about Tyler Booker being the first round pick for Lions fans and what you like about Tyler Booker and kind of the reasoning behind that. And then the people can go check out the other picks. But what's with Tyler Booker, Doc? Why Tyler Booker?
Yeah, and here's the deal. Part of it is I did like 2 or 3 total mock drafts. I definitely posted a lot of the other writers that are on my staff. You can go check them out too. But I looked at it and I said, what's the Lions' biggest need? Yes, it's edge rusher. Would it piss off everybody if the Lions went away? I do think that. I think that the Lions fans would be quite upset. So you got a little bit of spice would be interesting. But outside of my own personal wants for the fans to get riled up and to have debates on who's taken, I always go follow the money. And who's the biggest investment this Detroit Lions football team has? And that's the quarterback, and that's Jared Goff. And for him to be making $50 million annually, the cap hit keep rising. Your biggest job with a new offensive coordinator is protect JG16. The vision of seeing the Commanders just have their way with the Lions offensive line was too much. It just sticks in your mind that the offensive line need is a little bit more than the edge rusher need. The edge rusher need is there. It is there. You need an edge rusher on day 2, maybe not pick number 60 or the next pick, but it's a deep class. Brad Holmes, I think, can target an edge rusher later on. And I think the most important pick in round 1 is somebody that can get in there and right away compete to start. And I think Booker's that guy. You may have to trade up to get him. I like everything about him. He plays for a big school. I thought that his pressure rate was great in regards to not giving up sacks. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is a superstar in waiting, and he's going to bust out this year and have another great all-pro season. And David Montgomery, I think that you can slot Tyler Booker right away. If not, I'm okay with Gray Zabel as well. I think those are the 2 odds-on favorites in my book to land with the Lions. And Gray Zabel may be even a better option because you can slot him basically at all 5 spots.
Yeah.
And he's got a chance to compete. So I look at it and I say, in the trenches, you handle business, JG's protected, and I would love a offensive line of Taylor Decker, Tyler Booker, Frank Ragnow, Christian Mahogany, and Penei Sewell. You could do a lot worse than that. And I think that he's ready to go. I like him. Hopefully, I know that people are maybe thinking it might take a big move up. I don't. I think right now a lot of the mock drafts and a lot of the analysts are sliding him potentially to Houston, a couple picks up. So he might not cost a whole heck of a lot just to move up a couple spots. I just love the fact that he's from Alabama. And look, keep it simple. When you guys are out there in the chat paying attention to what potentially Brad Holmes could do, you look at a couple factors. Do they play for a big school? Do they have grit? Do they have a great relative athletic score? And do they jump out on film? And Booker does that for me right away. So I felt comfortable to put my name on it and to send it off to the editors. And they were like, sounds good. They approved it. It was all good. And I like Tyler Booker to come in right away and have immediate impact. for the Detroit Lions.
Love that, Doc.
My
I do like that pick. I like even like you said, the Gray Zabel one. I went the path of edge rusher. But like I said before, I even did mine, Doc. I did mine and I switched it. I had Gray Zabel at 28 and switched it to Michael. So I don't think you can go wrong either way, to be honest. I do want to just bring this up then. Something obviously, the Zadarius Smith news. Obviously, he still is not signed, and we've talked with you about this for the last few weeks. But you going offensive line and saying, hey, you could go edge rusher later in the draft. Did you have that mindset going in, like, hey, there's a chance Zadarius is still back, so maybe it's not as much of a need? Or what do you think happens with that whole Zadarius situation?
Yeah, no, Zadarius Smith did not factor into the creation of my mock draft because, like I told you guys several weeks ago, I think when Brad Holmes and I had asked him at his pre-draft media session that, hey,
Thank you for that too, Doc.
He was in town. Did you meet with him? And he said that the agent will give the next update. So it kind of lends to the idea that there's basically a number that the Lions have in mind, probably a 1-year deal, $4 or $5 million, some incentives, and it's up to the agent to then shop it around. And I think what Zadarius is going to do, like I told you guys previously, he'll wait until probably training camp. If someone goes down, then maybe his leverage goes up. Because right now, it's pro leverage for the Lions. They said, here's the deal. Let us know if you like it. And so Zadarius, his agent's going to shop it and figure out if there's a market for him. So I don't think he'll be signed before Thursday. So it factors zero into my thinking. It was great to see Cash Doll advocate for him to come back. There's a decent chance that if he wants to play and he accepts what the Lions' terms are, he could come back to Detroit. But I don't want to go into the year with Zadarius Smith, over 30 years old, and Marcus Davenport, who's injury prone. I'd rather just draft 1 or 2 edge rushers. And also, too, don't discount the outside linebackers that are available as well that can rush the passer. And you also have one, hopefully he comes back healthy, in Derek Barnes. He can rush the passer, and so can Jack Campbell as well. So you have some assets. It's not as bad as people think regarding the edge rusher spot, but yeah, I think you still need to upgrade. You can never, ever have too many pass rushers, no doubt about it. And I think that Lions fans, I do hope you bring the passion. If you're upset, let everybody know. Let them know that if you don't think that, if you think the Lions are, if they pass on an edge rusher first round, feel free. I don't think that, I think everybody's opinion is valid because when you saw the Eagles with 2, 3, 4 guys that were able to get to Patrick Mahomes, I understand those that will say, hey, get a Mailbag Williams, get a Shamar Stewart, get a Donovan Ezeraku, get somebody right away that can rush the passer. I understand that need, and I would not knock anybody that will get upset if the Lions pass on an edge rusher in the first round.
Doc, we're going to get to it later in the show as far as our opinions on it, but the news right now just surrounding the Detroit Lions is Jameson Williams and his possibility to be traded on draft night. Do you think, A, that it does happen, Jamo gets traded, and do you think there's a situation where they could take a wide receiver early if that's the case?
Yeah, no, it's I get it. I get that. Listen, it's fun for me in that it's common sense that Jameson Williams is a player that, teams may covet. And the thinking is, it's draft banter. It's realistic looking at the Lions contract situations, understanding that it is an option. It's the true definition of speculating. That, yeah, Jameson Williams is a player that probably is not going to get a second contract with the Lions because he's a good player that's going to want $25 to $30 million like T. Higgins. He's a prototypical number 2 that could be number 1 given the right spot. So that number is just going to be quite high for the Lions. So people look at it and say, okay, he's an asset that could potentially help you move up because you are picking 28th in the draft in every round. That's a problem. You need some more capital. The Lions draft capital is like basically 5th worst in the league because you have to wait for all these players to go off the board every round. So it's feasible. Is it likely? No. Is it something that people are going to talk about? Yeah. And here's the thing. Sports Illustrated and another NFL insider sparked the flame a little bit more when they did their reporting, and teams, they logically looked at it and said teams could call and they should call Brad Holmes to see if he's available. And Brad will probably say, yeah, I need a first round and another day 2 pick. And Brad's going to set the market pretty high for a player that's super talented. So I don't get all upset. I don't get emotional because, yeah, I talked to Jeff about it on our podcast. I said the Lions could take an offensive skill position player in the first or second round They brought in Matthew Golden. It could happen, but again, do you really think Brad Holmes is going to take away an asset of Jared Goff? Unless the pick is overwhelming, you get 2 firsts and you get a crazy offer, then you consider it. But the idea is, guys, let's be honest. We talk about Jameson Williams a lot. You asked me about it. I write about it. Simply put, I don't bullshit your audience. When we write about Jameson Williams, people read about it. So my job is to enact information that's factual. I've never lied to the audience. And I've said that and I said in every video that I released nationally, I don't think he's getting traded. But we do talk about it because Jameson Williams is a polarizing figure. When you say his name, people want to talk about him. So that's my job. And we're talking about him now. But I don't get mad. I don't blame the writers who talk about it. The other guy wrote it because he knew it draws attention. That's the only reason he wrote it. If you sat here and you asked him, do you think he's going to get traded? He's going to tell you no. But he wrote it because it helps him keep his job and pay his bills. So that's the deal. That's what we do. And that's what we talk about. When I go to write topics, my job every day is to assign 3-4 topics to all the guys. Every piece of art content you see at Lions on SI is created by me in my brain. And of course, when there's opportunities to talk about Jameson Williams, I ask about Jameson Williams because, look, we even talked about his social media habits, which is nonsense. The CBS Sports got it wrong. They did not. They had some guy put out an article that was factually inaccurate. Can you believe it? They changed the headline. And it's crazy that people follow it to that degree. That's how much people care about Jameson Williams. But he's not getting traded unless there's a massive offer on the table for Brad Holmes. And guys, I guarantee you, Brad has fielded calls about Jameson Williams. That's the job of a general manager, is to know and inquire. And it's not a major issue in regards to the grand scheme of things. I'll take a page out of Booner. Calm down, everyone. It's just trade banter, draft talk. But if it happens, oh boy, it would set the internet on fire in Detroit because he's definitely a popular figure.
Hey, John, they also met with another offensive player, Cam Scadaboo, from the running back from Arizona State, which Klotz has an infatuation with as a mid-round running back. He's been a fan of his for a while. And the Lions met with him. And they've met with a couple running backs. And Cam's projected to be like a round 2, 3, 4 guy. So he's not going to be this late round flyer. He's a pretty good football player. What do you think the reason? I know they're doing their due diligence, but is it something the Lions kind of have to think about in the future, is like what happens after Montgomery? Or is that just a bunch of BS and they're just doing their due diligence?
No, you do have to continuously look at what goes on. And I just think that when you see talented football players that are gritty, that have good ability to break tackles, you kind of see a player in Cam Scadaboo that people would like. I like what he brings to the table. He had, by all accounts, his private workouts with scouts has been pretty positive. But yeah, you got to bring in competition. He's intriguing. And here's why. I think when you read about him, he kind of reminds you of like an old school football player. Like, he likes contact. He plays with violence. He's a solid, run after the catch kind of guy, and, breaks contact like a David Montgomery. And so when you look at all these scouting sites and you see the abilities that he's got, I just think that, he was able to, on film, run away from Big 12 linebackers. And I was impressed with what he brought to the table. He ran around, I think, I'm thinking here, I think
of the 4.8 doc.
6'5", I think, at the private workouts. So he was right around what people expected him to be at. So, I like the idea, but here's the thing. The Lions are always looking for competition. And I just kind of think that a player of his caliber would be a nice asset, but at the same token, I don't think he ends up landing in Detroit because I'm very curious about what Sione Vaki can bring to the table, especially with the special teams work that he had. And I think that a year of development in this system, I like Sione Vaki a little bit more than I like Scadaboo.
Hey, Doc, one thing I want to bring up is obviously last year, and I think it might have been you I had the conversation with, but about the corners with Terrion and Ennis last year. Do you see them going again this year and saying, hey, let's get another corner to fill into this room on Thursday? Not Thursday, but let's say Friday, Saturday. Say, hey, let's take a couple shots on some more secondary guys, bring another corner in there to compete with Ennis and Terrion and DJ Reed.
Yeah, the name that kind of surfaced that people are talking about is Maxwell Hairston. And he even showed up in someone's mock draft in the first round. Local guy, I think his visit counts, that he showed up and had an opportunity to talk with the Lions. So I look at it and I say you do need a little bit of depth, because Ennis is a guy that, unfortunately Brad Holmes said, hey, he dealt with injuries. We had to go out and get DJ Reed because of the fact that, Ennis was injured. So it's unfortunate that went down to that degree. It stinks. A lot of people are paying attention to a couple guys that are really intriguing. I'm curious to see in this draft. I had notes on a couple guys. Malachi Starks, I think the safety nickelback out of Georgia, rated pretty well in grittiness. Many people think that he's great against the run, humble leader, has leader traits. Really, the thing that makes a defensive back draftable is how fast can they communicate and pick up and learn and be somebody that can be an asset. And I think Malachi Starks can be very intriguing. And the other one, and I do think that Brad Holmes will have an affinity for I watched Texas all year long. I don't know. I'm intrigued by Steve Sarkisian and just his whole story, the way he coaches, the way his teams kind of have an up and down nature. They're really solid, but then when it's crunch time, they kind of collapse. But boy, when I went to scout in Ann Arbor and I saw the offensive line, I was just like, oh my God, they dwarfed the Michigan Wolverines by at least 20 pounds on average along the offensive line. And I just said, oh my goodness, when they left, they were leaving the stadium the same time I was. It was like a professional outfit. And I like Jahdae Barron. I felt like him shifting to corner was pretty decent. And he's very the thing that you want to look at is with the players in the defensive backs, are they versatile? Can they move inside, outside? Can they be somebody that you put them in a different spot, they can flourish? I do think Barron has a good chance to be very versatile and can be competitive with Ennis and Amik Robertson in the slot. And then the other player that I like is I also like the safety Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. I felt like his tape, watching them, kind of caught my eye. Can be somebody that if you look at, hey, you want to add talent to Branch and Kirby Joseph, that's a player to pay attention to as well. But yeah, I do think cornerback is a spot. And then the other one too that I think everybody's talking about is Siobhan Revelle. I've just, you can't go wrong. If that name's called, you'll be in great shape.
Doc, we kind of spoke on it a little bit earlier. Ryan Poles came out today and said that GMs, like, he expects this to be an active draft with trades. And I know you talked to other journalists that are connected to other teams. When you look at this draft, do you think that there's going to be a lot of teams willing to move back and got other teams trying to go get their guy? Or do you think it's going to be kind of like steady where teams are just staying in their spots and picking who's available to them?
No, it's a very good question. It is hard to predict because the situation is this is lying season. So everybody puts out stuff in such a wild way that you kind of know outside of number one, that the quarterback is going to go to Tennessee. It can get real wild right after that. So it's going to be interesting. I think after, quarterbacks tend to shift the market around and how things go. But I wonder where Abdul Carter is going to end up. I wonder at number 2 if it's going to be Travis Hunter or is it going to be somebody else. So after the first 2-3 picks, it can get real wild. And I think that you might find that all the mock drafts you read in the top 10 could go a lot of different ways. And here's what tends to move the market: quarterbacks. So I don't think a lot of quarterbacks are going to I don't think a lot of people like Shedeur Sanders. He might fall out of the first round. You see the Louisville quarterback, he's drawing buzz, Jackson Dart, but I don't think they're first-round quarterbacks. They're not graded that well. So I think a lot of teams are going to stay. Where it could get interesting is right where the lines are at. And that's why a lot of insiders are saying that, the interesting part is, what do people think about the Louisville quarterback? Would somebody like the Browns maybe make an offer to the Lions to trade down to kind of get back into the first round to take the Lions 28 pick and take a quarterback. Could somebody see? That's what I was saying on the latest podcast that comes out tomorrow is Brad could set a market. He could set some leverage if he can get the Browns and the Steelers and the Giants to kind of believe that there's an opportunity that each other is going to take a quarterback. Then you have, if Brad can contact the Steelers and say, hey, I'm getting some buzz. I'm getting some action from other teams about taking 28. They're thinking about taking a quarterback. You may get some leverage to get a couple extra picks. That could happen. And I would not be surprised if a team that would trade into the Lions spot would take a quarterback, because most people think that the Browns at the first pick of the second round are going to target a quarterback. And if a team wants to jump up, the Lions are a nice little spot that you can work out a deal. So I'm curious. I don't think there's going to be a lot of action in the first round, but guys, are you hearing the fun action? And I think it's great what's happening at the top is you're hearing the buzz about about Gentry. Where's he going to go? Could the Jaguars take him? You're hearing that whisper because they want to raise the desperation of the Bears to kind of move up and get him. The Raiders at 6, they could also, you heard that, which was great. You hear, Raiders just absolutely love Gentry and love the running back spot. They have so many other needs that Gentry's luxury, but they're saying that because the Bears, I think the Bears genuinely love Gentry. And I know the fans have said, hey, John, don't worry, he's not going to the Bears. The one player I don't want to see on the Bears is Gentry. I think he would cause a problem even to the Lions defense. I don't care that he struggled in the playoff. When you give him a decent offensive line and you see a monster with that mentality, he will cause the Lions problems if he's with the Bears. So I don't want to see him in the division. And I'm curious to see where the action is. It could start with the Jaguars and Raiders, where teams, maybe the Bears, start to kind of move around from 10 to 7 to 6 to kind of move in that spot. But other than that, I could see it being a 1-2 trade first round, being relatively quiet because the talent level is not there in regards to true draft talent. Like this draft is rated worse than last year's.
I just want to follow up on the one point you made there, Doc, about trading back. And because I have seen a lot of rumors. A lot of teams are looking to get back in, especially for if quarterbacks fall, the Shadors, Jackson Darts, if they start falling. Do you think at all, and you've been around the draft room for a while with Brad since he's been here, do you think he values those first round picks a lot with that 5th year option? Do you think that's something he looks at and goes really considers, I really don't want to give up a 5th year option, especially of a player that I really, really love that's high on my board?
Yeah, great question. And here's how you look at it. When the Lions and the new regime came in, they had the opportunity to have a blockbuster trade with Matthew Stafford, and they took full advantage. They got the extra first round picks. They had, if you are covering a draft, and I forgot at one point that, teams don't take 2 players in the first round because my first couple experiences in the draft room, you're taking 2 first round picks. That's double the work. And when they got down to 1, I was like, oh, thank you, God, because you got to go and you talk to the player, you get all the work, you get all the information that you gather for the one player, and then you turn around and get another player. Oh, that was 6 draft articles within a 2-hour time span. It was a nightmare. And as a writer, you're trying to get a deadline. You're trying to get a lot of information out to people, and the Lions needed it. That was the strategy, was to stockpile picks high in the draft because they were rebuilding. Well, Brad hit on a lot of those guys. Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Aiden Hutchinson, Penei Sewell, they hit. Those guys are the pillars of the team. Unfortunately, there's a drawback to that, and that now when they hit their 4th and 5th year, they're going to command big time dollars, and they want market setting contracts. Like when you draft that high, they don't just want to stick around in Detroit. They want to set the market. That's what Penei's doing. That's what Aiden's doing. That's what Kirby's going to do. So now the reason why trading down is more of an option is you pay less. Each spot that you go down, you pay less as a commitment, and you don't have to worry about that 5th year option. You get 4 years of team control, and if the player is good, great, and you worry about the problem 4 years from now. But if you get a first round talent, then the 5th round option is available at a relatively expensive rate. So at this point now, there's going to be a shift, And there could be a shift in regards to the Lions and not coveting. And also, too, it's dependent on the class. This draft class is deeper at certain spots that the Lions need, offensive line and defensive line, most notably. So you don't have to worry that, hey, if the Lions pick, they pick 60th in the second round, but if you have an opportunity to get a second round pick and another day 2 or day 3 pick, you might take that opportunity to get more capital and to get more guys that are more affordable, that don't have to worry about first round dollars. Because again, each pick that if you trade up, it's a higher cost. It's slotted at higher. And right now, the Lions at 28, I think the odds on favorite is they pick at 28, followed close second by a reasonable offer to get a pick from 30 to 42 and another day 2 or day 3 pick. The Lions will entertain that and it's also going to depend on who falls and who's available in that cluster. If they truly believe that there's a player they like, they could trade down. I would not be surprised in any sense if they trade down.
And Doc, I want to make sure I phrase this question correctly, because the obvious answer would be the Lions, given how they've drafted. But when you look at the NFC North between the Lions, Bears, Packers, Vikings, who in your mind is under the most pressure to nail this draft in terms of the NFC North race? Who would you say most pressure for those 4 teams?
Well, of course, it's the Lions. But no. In all seriousness, it's the Vikings because they don't have as many picks. I think that they're a team that has a quarterback that's young and inexperienced at the NFL level. You're going to have to potentially find opportunities for him to get supported. And then also, too, it's tough when you move on from a starter that won you that many games. So I think the Vikings is very much imperative. And for all teams, the draft is important because that's where you find affordable talent. But I would rank it Vikings, then the Packers. The Bears made a lot of moves in free agency. They got a lot of picks, so they have more of a chance to whiff. But of course, you always want to try to hit on your draft picks. But when you have the more chances you have, the more opportunities that you can to hit. So I look at it like the ranking would be clearly the Vikings and then the Packers followed by the Bears. But the reason why this draft is so important for the Lions is you now are going to potentially start seeing some replacements for some of the vets. I truly believe there could be a replacement for Alex Anzalone selected, could be a replacement for Brian Branch, could be a replacement for Taylor Decker. You're going to have to start to get next. And if your mission is clearly the mission is to win a Super Bowl, but if your mission is also sustain success, no developmental players. You got to get guys that are going to compete right away. You're some names that are starting to show up that are not as productive as you would want. It's starting to get up there a little bit, but that's just a byproduct of having such a good football team that it's tougher to make the roster. But, it's still tough with Hendon Hooker, Broderick Martin, Colby Sorsdahl. A couple of those picks didn't work out. Ifeatu Melifonwu, not the best pick. And then you traded up for some assets. Manu was a project. Those are 4 or 5 guys that could have been used on defense for a Super Bowl caliber team. But no general managers, perfect. And the storybook is still open. The chance is still there to win a Super Bowl. But if they don't, there'll be some areas that you can pinpoint directly that you could say, well, if they used it a little bit wiser, they could have been a little bit further in the postseason. But it's a big draft for the Lions. You got to restock some talent because I can't wait to see who they decide to let go because the fans are attached to a lot of these guys and a lot of the picks are very popular players. So you could see it, but I'll tell you guys directly. Laporta, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, those are guys that are going to be tough to, I think they'll get some offers as well. And they're going to look to have some contracts that are going to be very bloated. And there are opportunities. It's not easy to get a tight end, but there'll be tough decisions. Laporta will be very tough. Branch will be very tough. Jack Campbell will be very tough. Those will be some tough decisions because I do think that Aiden and Kirby are going to break open the bank.
Which
Doc,
which one of those 3 are you resigning, Doc?
Which one of those 3?
Yeah. If you had to pick one.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one.
If you had to pick one, I keep Laporta. It's an offensive league. It's a quarterback's best friend. I think he can develop into be a George Kittle-like. I think you can find another linebacker to man the ship. I think that's a position that can be cultivated. Your defensive coordinator is at that spot. So he was a former position coach at that spot. I think you can find a linebacker a little bit easier in the draft to replace. Safety as well. It's tough, but you can also target free agents at the safety spot as some of the safeties that have already been in the class drafted kind of get into their second contract. You can replace it. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And the debate's starting to kind of, I see it online a little bit, the Branch versus Kirby Joseph. But I do think there's a chance Branch, if he's willing to work with the Lions, could still be part of this team after his first contract. But he's going to get some offers if he continues to play physical, play well, be around the football. But Kirby Joseph is going to set the market, and it'll be interesting to see what Branch's contract is worth.
Doc, I'll just shoot it to you straight. Why is there not a Kirby Joseph or an Aiden Hutchinson extension done yet? I know Kirby today said it's in the works. Let me get the exact quote here from Jennifer Hammond. It's in progress. We're getting things going. Feels like last year, all those deals got done draft week, which is 2 days away. Is there a reason that you think Brad's taking a longer time? Is it the agents that are trying to keep this thing as long as possible to get the highest price? What's going on here? Why aren't these two guys extended yet?
Yeah, they're negotiating, and I think that the deal takes time. Aiden's I think Kirby first, Aiden second. I think that there's a chance. Stay tuned tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. If you recall, based on history, the doc will tell you, you guys know that last year they did 3. Panay and Amon-Ra St. Brown got their big deals right before the draft. I think it was 24 hours before the draft. So stay tuned tomorrow. It could be. But I wouldn't worry about Kirby Joseph. Brad tipped it off. He said, hey, we're going to start working on Kirby's extension. And these extensions, guys, they take a little time because there's a lot of nuance. Void years, you want to allocate it so that you know your numbers. You're still trying to learn the cap situation for next year. You kind of allocate that. You know your draft class, certain spots. And also, too, you are also negotiating actively potentially with someone else. So let's say Aiden's first offer, and let's say Aiden wants 45. That's going to impact what's available for Kirby. Let's say the numbers, guaranteed dollars. So when you're working on different contracts and maybe some that we're not talking about publicly, then there's only so many dollars. And so it is not as easy as saying, hey, Kirby, here's 5 years, $100 million. And the way you craft it is how you allocate certain bonuses, how you allocate void years, how many void years, 2, 3, 4, because then you can spread out the cap hit over a period of time. So those things are intricate and those take time and numbers. And what's the rush? He's going to be a part of the Detroit Lions. There's no chance in hell you let a guy with 9 interceptions in a season who's that kind of player walk out the door. Now, he's got to learn how to throw a better opening pitch because that one was god-awful, and he balked. He took a little hop step and then threw it 20 yards wide. But look, stick to your day job. Be a safety, ball hawk, and I think he'll do just fine on the football field. He'll get paid, but there's no worry. What's the rush? I mean, I'm looking at it like, please, in my humble opinion, I don't want to write any more than I have to over the next 5 days because there's going to be a lot of writing. I would be just happy like you do it. There's a 6-week period. Brad, listen, help a guy out. I'm going gray. There's a 6-week period from June 15th until July 28th or so before we kick off the new year at training camp. Do it in those 2 so we can space it out a little bit. Maybe the first couple of days let us have with no news. Then you get the Kirby extension. We can write all about that. Then a week later, then we write about the Aiden extension. We can write all about that. So then we have a little bit of filler in those 6 weeks of off time. If he does it tomorrow, my God, guys, just give you a little insight of what it's like. We already got like 4 or 5 articles ready to go for tomorrow. And it's just crazy how much sheer information there is. I don't need Kirby Joseph contract on the docket for tomorrow. If it happens, we'll be ready. We have it all set. But it's funny because, at this point in time, we're all kind of just bracing ourselves because once Thursday hits, it's on call. No sleep till Sunday. And that's the way it goes for the life of an NFL writer.
Doc, in your mock draft earlier, you took Tyler Booker. And when you look at this Lions offensive line right now, you got the tackles, you got Panay, you got Taylor Decker, you got the center and Frank Ragnow. And you look at the guards, Graham Glasgow, Christian Mahogany. Now, you had Tyler Booker there. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Gray Zabel, if they take Donovan Jackson in the first round or they trade up to get him early in the second. So you get Donovan Jackson, you get Gray Zabel, you get Tyler Booker. who do you think is more likely to lose their spot to that said rookie? Do you think it'd be Christian Mahogany, or do you think it'd be Graham Glasgow?
It's no guarantee that the rookie does play, but I think it would be Graham Glasgow. I think Mahogany is a bulldog. I think he fits right in at right guard. I think he's ready to learn. If he stays healthy, he's there. He's a starter. I think Glasgow, a little bit older. I thought he was a little more inconsistent, a little bit more injury prone. He dealt with a rough season. And the reason why Dan Campbell likes him, he's versatile. He can be the backup center to Frank Ragnow. But I think that, a young, hungry offensive lineman, keeps the engine purring. So the competition will be great. I think a lot of people are paying attention to the development of Giovanni Manu. We saw that Michael Neese is returning, but he figures to be a practice squad, roster bubble kind of guy. But you have some depth there with Awosika and Skipper, but you do need some influx of some young talent. And I'm very curious to see how a young rookie at that spot competes and gets after it, because it's no easy feat. You're baptized right away in the league with Levi Onwuzurike, DJ Reader, and Davenport and a rookie, and Aiden Hutchinson. So that'll be a fun opportunity. And what the Lions like to do is they throw these rookies into the fire and move them all around. So you'll see reports that they get cross-trained at left guard, right guard, different spots. You'll see potentially them draft pick at left tackle at certain spots if Decker's getting a veteran day. So it's a fun, I don't it's weird because I know at training camp, a lot of people hyper focus on who's playing where. I always thought that kind of information was a little bit more secretive, but you're allowed to kind of talk about it at certain spots. I've kind of just been really cautious and not give away depth charts like, oh, I saw that, hey, this guy played at left guard today, because it's kind of like specific information. But a lot of people do it, so it's not as regulated. But this year, I think if there's a first-round pick, yeah, you'll see reports from us and all the reporters. You can go find it. Hey, today at this percentage of time, we start seeing hey, this guy got trained at left guard, right guard, and first unit, second unit, all that kind of stuff. But for a single reporter who only's got one guy, one set of eyes there, it's a little bit tough to jot down all the numbers and to get the main points out. But there's people that have multiple. Maybe this year I'll try to get the second pair of eyes. They're a little bit tougher with the DOC. I wonder why, in terms of giving me that second credential. But I understand. I respect it. I kind of like it that it's been one pair of eyes with Lions on SI for the last 7 years, and it's been me.
Well, Doc, we got some questions from the people. So I'm going to throw these up for you, Doc. First question, Full Slate Farms says, question, would the Lions draft Milroe? Word is Holmes fell in love with him at the Combine in the interview.
Man, I don't know how you saw that, because that's a direct insult to Hendon Hooker. I mean, I think that's, you brought in Allen. You've already told everybody that with the Bridgewater thing. I mean, you bring in another quarterback. I think that when you weigh it out, it doesn't work. I don't care if you fell in love with Jalen Milroe, move on and pick another defender. No, I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Yeah,
I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I would be too. John Lord says, Doc, how much money did you make betting on Detroit sports?
Oh, you guys, great. Anakin, first, I saw your question. I talked about it. Why do we talk about Jameson Williams? Listen, I told the chat, we talk about Jameson Williams because people read about Jameson Williams. He's an enigma. He sparks interest. We did look, we did stories on the draft, my mock draft. The biggest stories on the site are the trade, because people think that the Cowboys realistically Jerry Jones could call up Brad Holmes and make a crazy offer. That story did well. And then the reaction piece that we did just dwarfed it by 9 times. So we're obsessed. It's not a cash cow, but let's just say the guys asked me about Jameson Williams. When there's an opportunity to ask about JMO at the pressers, we ask. It's basically, we have identified, the DOC has identified that Jameson Williams is a topic of interest. So he heavily rates in regards to topic of conversation. So that's why we talk about him. And it's good because you guys talk about it. If you stop reading it and stop talking about it, even though, remember too, guys, Twitter is the outlier. It's just a vocal minority. By and large, we have analytics at a detailed level to let me know how long people stay on a site, how many minutes they're on there, and what they're reading to the minute. So whatever you see on my site is getting read. If you see a content type, it's because it's getting read. Now, how much money did I make betting sports? I'm a small time bettor. I'm a profitable bettor. I am somebody that takes in a lot of information. I'm well read. I'm a numbers guy. And also, you asked me publicly in a time where I just paid I just paid the April taxes. So let's just say I'm even in my betting at this point in time. I'm not winning too much. Yeah. Not losing too much. I'm a happy guy in regards to that. But let's just say this. I'm a math guy. I'm a math wizard. I got all A's, A+ statistics all the way across. I can do the hedging properly. I know how to take information. My biggest bets I can share. I don't do parlays. It's a sucker bet. Bet on Michigan State, bet on Michigan, bet on the Lions, bet the NFL. NFL does me well. It's a very much a plausible, viable, entertaining endeavor. And be honest, UFC, if you read up on the UFC, there's a lot of edge you can get in terms of picking fights that are high leverage situations. And there's a lot of great information. Read all the Booner gives a lot of free information. It's great stuff. A lot of great free betting analysts. And now there's a lot of women doing it too. So that makes it easy to listen to. And the secret is don't do parlays, don't do sucker bets. I don't do futures. I just do, hey, injuries, and I go by feel at times. But yeah, I'm a successful bettor. Breaking even.
There you go. Malik says, Doc, is Sorsdahl cooked? Dan mentioned playing Manu at guard, but he didn't say anything about Sorsdahl. Bro's in his third year and has played snaps before. What do you make of all that?
Yeah, no, he hasn't developed to the degree that people want. It takes a while. He's a 5th-round pick. Remember, guys, too, let's slot it properly. 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, those are the guys that are projected to pretty much make the team and have a little bit more leeway. When you're in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, it's a little bit tougher. And it's a situation in which they took him out of William and Mary. It's an adjustment period. They moved his position, guard, tackle. It takes a while. It's tough. I don't say he's cooked, but this is the year that if he doesn't make it, he'll be on the roster bubble at training camp.
Muted, Jeff.
Jomo says, Doc, why not a rookie at right guard to be in between Frank and Panay, Mahogany to left?
No, that's very possible. Dan said that there's a chance to do that. I just think that you look at it from the perspective of where Christian Mahogany might have the best strength. I think playing next to Panay Sewell easier to kind of play off of the skill set. I like the idea of running to the right side a little bit more to attack the defense. And so it's all about your approach and how you want to attack an opposing defense. And it's not a situation, Lion King, that it's out of the realm of possibility. I think that you will read reports that Mahogany plays some at left guard during training camp. Yeah, it's not one of those things you draft linemen, but I think that Mahogany started just based on the comfort level of Glasgow. I just think that right guard kind of is going to suit him pretty well at the next level.
That guy up north says, Doc, question, would you rather reach on the 5th or 6th ranked edge at 28 or draft a safety or wide receiver?
No, there's no reaching. You go for best player at 20 in the 1st round. You go for around your best player at a position of need. Like, I think that, it's relatively, you take your best offensive lineman. If he's available, you take that. See, that's a great question in regards to where would you reach? I think that the Lions are going to have a lot of decent grades on the defensive linemen and the defensive ends. And I think that there's opportunities that you rank it more in terms of priority. And the best player could be a Gray Zabel or a Booker or a guy like Derek Harmon, that I think the best player on defense might rank a little bit higher than a safety, because there's some good safeties that can be available. There's a lot of depth at safety that you don't have to go in the 1st round and take a safety or running back or an offensive skill position. If they do wide receiver, I would be shocked, because I think that the better players that quote unquote, even though they are a position of need, the better players too, I think slot for defense as well. In terms of defensive tackle, there's some depth there as well that are better than a safety or a 5th or 6th ranked edge. That's why you could see a defensive tackle. You could see a offensive lineman ahead of those positions.
All right. 2 more questions left, Doc. We got Broski Bear says, Doc, what's your prediction for Davin Poop this season?
I said on the podcast, I give him 1 game. I give him 1 game, and then we'll be talking about it. But it's hard to say. I'm just going to be, draft hype and be positive. I hope he stays healthy. I hope he's dealt with so much to deal with those injuries that you just hope that the Lions are on the better side of luck this year. His injury wasn't really injury prone situation. It was, he got hit in the elbow in a spot that, it's a tough spot. He got chopped, and that is just bad luck. It wasn't an injury prone situation. He got hit in the right spot and broke his elbow. So it's one of those deals where it's, you hope he can stay healthy, but I do think that's why you're going to need some depth at the defensive end spot.
Last question. You know what, Doc? We'll send you off on a good question here. Xavier says, Doc, when you're smoking a nice cigar, do you prefer bourbon or scotch to go with it?
Yeah, no, purely bourbon. Scotch does not agree with me well. I can't find the smoothest ones that are in my price range. I think that, as everybody knows, the higher you pay, the smoother the scotch. So I am a bourbon person. I found too that dipping a cigar, I think everybody may dip the end into the bourbon and enjoy a nice cigar and a nice evening to relax. I definitely probably will smoke a cigar Sunday night at like 11 p.m. when the draft is over. Let me just tell you guys real fast what it's going to be like. The doors open at 5, I believe, and it's rumors galore, and then it's just nonstop coverage of the draft. It is wild. It goes by fast. It's taxing. You guys know what it's like now on the broadcast side. On the writing side, it's crazy because we got so much content that's going to be available. The first round pick Friday is crazy because the first round pick comes to town. Then the draft, then Brad Holmes. Then Saturday is crazy because there's multiple picks. Then Brad Holmes. Then the recap of everything that goes on. So it is a great situation. Have patience with your reporters in regards to the questions they ask and everything, because we're on fumes by Saturday. But the information will be there. Visit us and visit these guys. Engage. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know at Detroit Podcast. If you like the pick, don't like the pick, let these guys know. Listen, the media is going to try and uplift everybody that's there. If you don't like a pick, let us know why. We'll have those fair discussions, but be true to yourself. Be honest. That's what makes great fans about Detroit is if you think a player's a developmental player, I don't think they're going to draft any developmental projects, but if they do and you're not happy, let us know. Speak up, tweet, message. You guys have a voice. We hear it. We know what the powerful fans of Detroit are all about, and I'm excited to see how the fans I hope they play at the Pistons game, the final countdown. The fans are just crazy rabid. The Knicks, now it's personal with Jalen Brunson, the flopper. Now it's a situation in which that's the way you want to play basketball. I hope the Pistons destroy the Knicks. It's now going to be a rivalry, I think, coming in the future, Pistons-Knicks. And guys, Pistons are a little bit more physical, a little more mentally tougher, a little more longer. It's nice. I maybe have been wrong. But remember what I did say. The biggest concern was those officials. Dang it. The game 2, they tried to F the Pistons with those silly ticky-tack Brunson. I mean, you just nudged him and he was flopping. That was embarrassing at the highest level. But the Pistons, I think you win game 2 with Beasley and Hardaway playing like shit. This is great. Now you have a chance when they're going to come home. I think game 3 in Detroit, they're going to blow out the Knicks, and then game 4 will be a battle. Could go back to New York 2-2, but the Pistons are in an amazing opportunity to win this series. I'm excited. Tigers are doing well. The only team to complain about right now is the Red Wings because you can see Steve Yzerman didn't make the moves, and you can see Dylan Larkin and his disappointment in his season-ending boo-boo face annually that, hey, another year, another wasted year, not in the postseason. But the Pistons learned, hey, surround good players with good role players, you can have success. And Detroit sports deserves this. Get excited. Go try and do both. Pay attention to the draft in Lions on SI and enjoy the Pistons because it's fun. Guys, I was shocked. I couldn't believe when I typed it. I've been doing the podcast since 2013. 1 Pistons playoff win. My first ever witnessing a playoff win with my eyes was yesterday. And I did over 1,000 podcasts. 12 years of podcasting, 7 years as an NFL reporter. I was 29 years old when the Pistons last won in 2008. I looked at that when I typed it. I was floored. And one of the big engagements that I got was people are just telling me how old they were when they when they last saw Pistons win. They were 6, 7. I mean, a generation did not see a postseason win. Don't take this for granted. Watch, engage, watch the Pistons, but also pay attention to the draft. It's an important time for everybody. Put a little extra dollars that I can spend on some gambling.
Hey, Doc, we appreciate you so much. I know you're going to be busy this week. We'll be dialed in with you. We'll be in the trenches with you, Doc. We'll talk to you very soon, my friend, next week to recap it all.
Can't wait to talk to you guys. Guys, have a great broadcast. Learn your lessons from Shannon Sharpe. I'll say this.
25K a cheek, Doc.
It's undefeated. That it'll bring down any great man. It's just undefeated. I get it. But if you're a man of Shannon Sharpe's caliber and you're about to hit $100 million podcast contract, your numbers are great. You're about to work on ESPN, and that's the level of caliber of lady that you are trying to entertain. That's a mental health situation at the highest level of ego and narcissism. Very, very unbecoming. His career could go down the toilet real fast. And I'll say this. When you're in a situation, and if you guys ever make it huge, 3 letters, NDA. Peace, boys.
Oh my gosh, he leaves on the
That was wild.
That is that's
That's
John
the Doc.
Maakaron.
That's the Doc.
Yep, that's the Doc. He does great stuff. Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. Go read his stuff. And he did
Check
write
him
an
out.
article. What he was referring to during the interview there was the Jameson Williams article about that Mike Payton put out. We broke down, and now it's getting this like more. It's getting more traction because Albert Breer said he heard rumors about maybe the Lions potentially moving him, and then all Lions Twitter broke out and started talking about trading, maybe scenarios where they trade up, get like a first round. It's just like all this stuff going on, guys. This is what we deal with here. Okay, we're dealing with a can of bullshit. That's what we're dealing with here. It's not going to happen. He's not going to get traded on draft night. Clip this. It's not going to happen. It's a suggestion that I don't mind people suggesting. It's the offseason. Things are suggested. It happens. Ideas are thrown out there and shot down. Have no problem with that. But do I actually buy any stock into it? Absolutely not. He's not going to get traded. He's going to be here this upcoming year because of how important he is to this offense, how important he is to Goff, and how good of a player he is. Now, if you want to extend him, cool. If you don't, well, then we'll figure that out next year or maybe at some point in the future. But as of this draft in 2 days, no, I don't think he gets traded on draft night because, guys, think about it like this, too. This is what I was thinking about today. If I'm a team inquiring about trading for Jameson Williams, what do you think his value is right now?
Probably that's what. Like, think about Brandon Ayuk. Like Brandon Ayuk last year, he wasn't getting a first-round pick.
Maybe
he was a player that had a huge catch in the NFC Championship game, probably a third, honestly.
Okay, so second
best. You're not getting a first, I don't think, for
a
Jameson Williams because there's got to be a contract that goes with it too. It's not just a
right.
I don't think it's just a hey, here's a pick. I think it's like, hey, if we're trading for him, we want to know that we can extend him on a deal. Like there's going to be a contract there.
Now, they've already shown in NFL history, people are like, we got to trade him with control left on his deal. If Jameson goes out there this year and puts up another 1,000 yards, his value increases, and a team will trade for him knowing they have 2 years of productive seasons, and they'll have no problem just signing him to a deal. We see receivers get traded all the time on the last year of their deals. So I don't even want to hear, well, you have control. You have to trade him now. No, you don't. No, you don't. History has proven that otherwise. So this report to me is bogus. Nothing's happening. And Jameson Williams will be on the team this year.
I'll say this, and I get what you're saying, Jeff. I think I get the point you're trying to put, the point you're pushing across. The Albert Breer stuff, I'll say, if he is hearing that there are teams that are reaching out for JMO, that I believe to be true. I do believe that there are potentially teams that might be like, hey, when you're doing your due diligence, if you're a good GM, you know everything that's going around with all 31 other teams, and you're looking around going, JMO, they'd already came out publicly and said they're probably just going to opt into the 5th-year option, and they're not looking to extend him right away. That's an opportunity. We saw what JMO did, and I know, and I've heard people talk about it. Where's his trade value at right now? Because he's only had one good year. But you still got to see what that potential is. And there are teams out there that are desperate for wide receivers who would look at Jameson Williams and be like, hey, we're willing to pay him. We don't have a wide receiver like that on our roster. So are the rumors true that there are teams out there that are sitting there waiting for a trade for JMO? I can't confirm it, but I would say I would not be shocked if that's true. Is Brad Holmes shopping around? I would say if I was the GM of the Detroit Lions, I would not be, and I would be locked into keeping Jameson Williams with the Detroit Lions. But a general manager in the NFL always does what's best for the team and is always looking around. So would I be shocked if there were reports saying that Brad Holmes is open to the idea? I wouldn't be shocked. Now, this is where I talked to Klotz about it. Me and him were texting a little bit about it. I would not trade Jameson Williams at all this year. Like, you should not even think about it. It shouldn't go through your mind. You have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl in the next 12 months. Jameson Williams is a massive piece to that. You do not give up a piece right now that contributes what Jameson Williams does with the opportunity to win the Lombardi Trophy. You don't. Whether you get a wide receiver or not, this was the conversation with Klotz that I had. It's like, even if they get a wide receiver in the early rounds, you do not get rid of Jameson Williams. You know what he is. He's in your system. You know what you have in JMO. You don't walk away from that just like that, just because of a contract situation. You sit there and you let that thing play out until next year. You opt into the 5th year, and then you, at the end of next season, after you win a Lombardi, all right, those conversations could come around. Because next year, that's when you start talking about all these other extensions, the Laportas, the Brian Branches, like those kind of get into play. So I'm with you, Jeff. I'm with you on one side, to where there is no way on God's green earth that I would ever say, hey, I'm trading Jameson Williams in this offseason when you have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. But on the other side, I wouldn't be shocked if there are like teams out there that are pursuing JMO, and if Brad's sitting there being like, hey, I am a very good GM in the NFL, I will think about and look at every single option, whether I do it or not, or whether I really want to do it or not. I'm still going to take phone calls. Like I'm sure. It is a weird situation because we all love JMO, but I'm sure that's happened. I'm sure players that you guys all have loved at some point in their career, GMs have taken phone calls, or there's been conversations about moving them. It happens all the time. Think about the Luka Doncic thing. Whoever thought that there were ever phone calls about a trade for Luka Doncic, and then it happens, and you're like, wow. And I'm not saying Brad is even close to Nico, but you guys see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
There could be players on this team currently right now that are in trade, that they're having trade talks about, and we just have no clue. And if we heard it, we would be up in flames right now.
No, I think you do have a good point there, Booner. My thing is just like, it makes no sense in the time frame of, if you look at what Jameson Williams is for the Detroit Lions, going back to when he was drafted, Brad Holmes moved up 20 spots with a division rival in the Minnesota Vikings. He went up 20 spots to get this guy with a torn ACL. So you knew his rookie year, he wasn't going to be out there. In year 2, you don't expect him to even be 100%. And now in year 3, even when he misses 2 games of suspension, which I understand if you don't love that, he gives you 1,000 yards. So you finally get what you want out of Jameson Williams. You see the tool that he can be. You see how it performs in the playoffs, both last year in the NFC Championship game and this year with the Washington Commanders. He was probably the best playmaker on the field. Even like when Jared Goff went down, what'd they do? They said, we need a big play. Let's go to JMO. Teddy Bridgewater comes in reverse, JMO touchdown. And you look at it just in big games, JMO steps up. So why in God's green earth would you trade him now when you know for sure you'd have him next year, and then you can look to move him? Because I don't think that Jameson Williams is going to be able to be re-signed, but you don't just let JMO walk because, well, you can get value for him now. He's a goddamn good football player. Like the Cincinnati Bengals, that'd be like saying for them, hey, trade T. Higgins when you still have a year 4 on him. Like, why would you do that when you can trade him after? Because it's either way, a team's going to have to pay him. So you can get a little bit more incentive with the contract year, but you're also losing good player. You're not going to get a wide receiver in this draft that can do what JMO did for you this year. So it makes no sense to try to replace him. Like I said, you replaced Tim Patrick this year. You go out, you get a Pat Bryant, get Isaac Tesla. Don't care who it is. But then next year, okay, this is when you can start having those talks about JMO, because he's somebody that can give you another 1,000 yards this year, and you need that in the NFL. You need to have Jared Goff surrounded by good to elite players, and that's what Jameson Williams is.
The only thing that frustrates me, I guess, is people, especially our fan base, we talk a lot about windows. and how in a window it's important. You need all the help you can get. That's why there's people out there that want the Lions to go all in. But then they're like, oh, well, I'd be open to trading away Jameson Williams with 2 years under control. Like, and he's one of your best offensive players right now. Like, you want him to play as much at this level he just played at for 1 year for at least another year. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. You're trading. Like, I get if it's like, oh, well, he's on the last year of his deal. We're going to trade him at the deadline or whatever, or like the offseason going into his last year, whatever. It's like, okay. And you're not going to pay him, but with another year of control, like, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And I'm not saying there's no calls, obviously. You take the calls, you talk. But just like the idea of it making sense, there's no argument.
I agree with that. I think the thing with making calls, and I think it's like this for most players, especially if you're a first-round draft pick and that fifth-year option starts to loom around. And typically, like, hey, if you're performing, or typically if you're on a team to where you can get paid, you're sitting there, and I'm sure you boys understand this, like, the extension gets done, and if it doesn't get done and that fifth-year option comes around, typically you would think like teams around the NFL, other GMs are going to be like, what's going on with that situation? This is a first-round talent, a guy who's put up numbers, and I'm not saying just Jamo, but I'm talking about in general with players who are first-round picks with that fifth-year option. You're going to get phone calls, and if you're a normal GM, like, or a high-level GM, you're just going to take the calls to see, like, hey, where is this at? Because you have to be able to be prepared for everything, correct? So, like, say next year comes around where Brad, that fifth year's coming around, and Brad's like, yeah, we're going to finally make this move. Like, we are going to trade him, or we want to keep him, whatever way he goes. He wants to know where the market's at, right? And, like, to know where the market's at going into next year, you had to take phone calls this year. And you're not going to take calls for Kirby Joseph. Want to know why, boys? Because you're extending him. Like, you're extending him. Aiden Hutchinson, why didn't you take calls from him when you opted in that fifth year? Because you're extending him. It's the same thing with Panay when he got extended, and all these guys. It's like, hey, if you know you're extending the guy, NFL GMs aren't going to think twice of calling. Like, he's getting extended 4 or 5 years. He's locked in. But as soon as you hear a player isn't going to get that, or is going to get the fifth year, and they're not going to get an extension, and they need to kind of, hey, we need to talk that over and think about it. I think that's the only reason that there would be calls, or vice versa through GMs. So I wouldn't even take any. What's the term? Like, don't. There's no fuel to the fire on that. I think it's just more so a normal GM move.
Due diligence, but
a report got out probably and Albert Breer probably caught wind of a team that spoke with the Lions, maybe, or a couple teams that believe that. And the reason I think they believe it is because they said that they don't want to pay him right now. So I think that's all it comes down to. I think it's that simple, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the same thing with, like, when we talk about Taylor Decker. The biggest thing I say with Taylor Decker is, like, people are like, trade him. And my thing is, it's just, you're hard going to a Super Bowl year and you don't know what you got at left tackle, or tackle. It's the same thing, like trade Dramo. Okay, well, you don't know what you have at wide receiver 2 going into a Super Bowl year. So it's like, I don't know, for the people, if there's people out there that actually are like, oh, well, that'd be a good idea. Don't do it.
Yeah. Like the Taylor Decker thing too. It's like he has an opt-out after this year. If you even if you drafted a guy, the only way in my world where you would think maybe drafting a guy that you knew could replace him would be if you're picking in the top 10 and you get Membu or Will Campbell.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
and
no Klotz. Like that would be an irresponsible. As much as you love it, that would be an irresponsible move to trade Taylor Decker, bring Ursi in,
bank on Ursi to be
and
like,
hope like, hey, we can win a Super Bowl with him as your left. Even Josh Simmons coming off the injury. I like the confidence, but it's so unrealistic. And like, if you're building a franchise and you made that move as a GM, that's the reason Brad's in the position he's in, because he doesn't make moves like that and he's smart. That's the difference between Brad Holmes and Lukas Klotz at the GM position.
Bring me
Simmons.
Hey,
Cody says Mailbag John Morton wouldn't allow his best weapon to be traded in his first year.
Second best weapon.
You think John Morton? This is a scenario where Brad's like, yeah, we got a deal for J-Mo. And John goes, Brad! Kicks open the door. You're not trading away my guy. No way.
John Morton's got dirt.
No, you know how they communicate? They probably hang out like they're probably sitting in the back on like a balcony with like a nice fire and a pool next to them with like drinking like Miller Lights or Coors Lights. and just smoking like cigarettes and just talking about the offense.
What is that? Just the cigarettes? Just does it sound like a John Morton thing, or is that just
John and Dan? It's just like, hey, let's have a day with a big dip in, drinking a beer.
What was the
back
movie with Adam Sandler and Chris Rock? David Spade.
Grown Ups?
Yeah, I feel like you just described Grown Ups.
Yeah.
No, but this is more so like blaring, like or like sitting in your garage,
John Morton,
garage
David
on a
Spade,
folding chair. Like, you know those garages that have like all like the rock band posters and like just like
Yeah, the smoking cigarettes comment is crazy. I mean, that was kind of. I mean that.
I don't know. I was just trying to think like the boys are some tough fellas, you know.
Hey, Malik says, Mailbag, I do not think it will or should happen, but if Brad does trade Jam on draft night, what do you think that sends to us?
There's only one thing. He's looking long term. Like he's looking to build this thing long term, which would be the wrong move, but that's the only thing that message that gets sent is like he wants long term.
Yeah, I would say that probably like they're going to be a very good team. They probably don't think they can win a Super Bowl this year, potentially, maybe. I don't know. Like, that's where questions start.
That would be crazy.
I would genuinely start to question, like, not Brad as a GM, but just kind of like the all-in mindset. It's like this mindset. If that were to happen, I'd be like, well, if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, don't you want your best team? Like, I don't know. It would
for sure.
Be like, why? What's the reasoning behind that? Like,
that's why it has to be long-term, right?
Yeah, is it always for the future? And then when the future comes, well, it's for the future. And then when that future comes, well, it's for the future. It's like, is there ever a now?
Anxiety.
Yeah, can we just can we win this bowl? You know what I mean? That's
why not 4 though, Jeff?
It's not happening.
I did guarantee 3 in 7 years last year. I guaranteed it in the Booner path.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Starting now.
Well, yeah, we're 0 for 1 so far, but so right now I'm with 3 in 6 years. So yeah, we've got a lot of time to make up here, Brad. Let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, let's just get the first, and then work on the second, and then we'll get the third. You know,
the Booner path, man. I mean,
get that monkey off our back, man. Like, no Super Bowls. I mean, come on. Can we get one? That's all I'm asking for. Jeez. Super Bowl Cartier says, I'd say Brad wants to milk the fan base instead of, I wouldn't go that far. Okay. But if it were to happen, Cartier, that's a fair thing to say. Just milk the fan base, I guess. But yeah, I don't think he'll do it. Oh, that's kind of a crazy comment, but Cody says Gibbs is great and weapon wise, but what the offseason can do because of JMO being on the field is unmatched.
JMO's a weapon, man. It is shocking. I think there's a 1% chance that happens. I literally don't think it happens. I would be shocked. I would probably fall to my chair and break like my leg or something if it happened. I don't know.
The whole fan base would just be sad.
I might smash the Kool-Aid jug.
Golden Tate hurt. Remember when Golden Tate was traded to the Eagles for a 3rd-round pick? Shit pissed me off so much. Oh my god.
That's not this regime though, Klotzy. It's not going to happen.
Just have flashbacks. I was in computer class.
Matthew, let me just run this by you. What happens if it does happen and Matthew Golden becomes a Detroit Lion?
I'd be like, why the fuck did we just do that?
All right, good. I just want to test you with your favorite wide receiver.
Like, there's no wide. Like, take Pat Bryant, man.
What about next year? You make a trade and get what's it? Your boy from Ohio State,
Cardell Tate.
I guess it's another year then, because what's his name's a freshman. Was a freshman.
Yeah, Jeremiah's got two years.
That's tough, then, man. That's tough.
They got some dogs coming out.
Next
year.
All right.
Gonna be good.
Don't forget, everyone. Thursday, we're for the draft. We're at DraftKings Sports and Social in Troy, hanging out.
Should I read off the schedule for the people?
Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta find it real quick.
The schedule for the next couple of days, because it is going to be wild.
We've got a busy schedule. Oh no, that's my Tobias first cat paragraph. Wrong thing.
Okay, well that's you know what. Let's just get into that. Actually,
do you want me to? I can break it down a little bit. I can read the people my notes. All right, NFL draft week, boys. Are we ready?
Yep,
ready, Bone.
Tomorrow night, Wednesday, 8 to 10 p.m. We're going to be going. What are the 2 segments we have tomorrow? Our full first round mocks, locked in, final mock drafts. Correct.
Correct.
And our is it our
Most
wants?
wanted.
Most wanted for the Detroit Lions. That'll be tomorrow. We'll have a lot of NFL draft segments tomorrow to finalize everything heading into Thursday. Thursday, NFL draft day, day 1, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. It will be, I think Jeff and I think Klotz, you were working Thursday, correct?
Correct.
So it'll be
the
Jeff and
morning.
I from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We'll just do like a pre-draft show, couple hours, just talking ball, going through rumors. There's probably gonna be a lot of rumors that morning, to be honest, that we'll be able to talk about. And then 6:45 on Thursday night, we will be live starting at 6:45. Pistons start at 7, and then we're gonna be doing pre-draft stuff. Pistons game 8 o'clock. The action starts, boys, at 8 p.m. We'll be live all night until midnight. Friday, we're going to turn around 8 or 9 a.m. We will be doing or Jeff, actually, 8 or 9 a.m. Jeff will be doing a first-round review. And then at 2 o'clock, I will be doing Booner's first-round review. 5:30, we'll be back at it for NFL Draft Day number 2. Saturday, this is a lot, boys. Wow, this is going to be a big week, huh?
Yeah.
Saturday, we turn around and we go right back at 9 a.m. It'll be Jeff, me, and Klotzy. We'll be doing a day 2 draft recap from 9 to 11 a.m. And then 12 p.m., the draft starts, day 3. And it'll be most of the boys will be on that from 12 until whenever the draft is over. And then Sunday, we'll turn back around 10 a.m. on Sunday. We're live every day this week. 10 a.m. on Sunday, we'll be live doing a full draft recap until 12 p.m. And really, we'll probably do it all the way up until 1 p.m. The Pistons game 4 at LCA. We'll be doing a watch party at 1 o'clock on Sunday as well. And then after that, that'll be our
There's
week.
more.
We finally get a rest Sunday.
Monday
after
we're back
the
to
Pistons
regular.
game. Yeah, and then next Monday we'll be back to normal schedule and program. But we'll have maybe we'll put a graphic out so the people get to see a little bit of what we're going to be doing. That's a lot, though, boys.
You just go on YouTube. We'll probably be live.
Turn the notification bell on, man. That's why it's there. You get alerted every time.
Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Like the stream. There's about 200 people in right now. Hit the like button. I'm not sure what we're at. Hit the like button. Show some support. We're going to bring you guys such a good draft show. I cannot wait, fellas.
Pumped up. Even I mean, like the draft shows. We're going to be doing draft coverage, but then every morning we're going to have draft recaps.
Yeah.
And it'll be Lions. It'll be really Lions based, but then we're talking NFL. If there's big news, we'll be talking it. So that'll be exciting. Every single morning we'll be live as well. So
yeah, we're 50 subs away from 13,200. So we're climbing up. Appreciate you all as always. And come out to the draft show. We'll catch you tomorrow. We'll be back 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Until then,
love you guys.
Peace.
Kenneth Grant.